Hello, hello, and welcome. I am Varden Heste, and we're back with Katawa Shoujo. And I think we might even finish the game today. Because looking at the amount of things we have left, I think we have 2 more chapters for Act 3, and then the rest is, I think, Act 4. Hello, goddess, hello, goddess. Good to see you, good to see you. But I'm excited. Hopefully I don't choose any wrong options. But oh well, here we go. Woody. Continuing on from where we left off. The hammering of a fist against the door feels like a nail being pounded into my head. Once, twice, 3 times, I let out a long, annoyed breath and bear it while pressing my eyelids shut, fervently hoping for whoever it is to just go away. I feel pretty damn awful. My face feels like it's cast out of lead, my arms feel heavy, and I feel very queasy. It's been like this since I woke up half an hour ago, and I can't summon the energy to pick myself up out of bed. So, this is what they call a hangover. I wonder if perhaps this is the best treatment for teenagers who desperately want to try drinking as a way to feel like an adult. Considering how unpleasant this is, it's not something I want to repeat. A series of thumps ring out again, reverberating around the small room. I wish they'd give up already. I have no intention of getting out of bed for them. Seconds pass, turning to minutes, since no more knocks are coming from the door. Whoever it was must have left. Thank goodness. Looking to my clock, the time when I really should think about getting dressed and ready for class is approaching. I don't think I can manage it though. I hate cutting class, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get much done at this rate. I can tell I look like a mess without needing to look in the mirror to confirm it too. The morning rush is giving me enough time to stand outside the classroom for a little while without looking too suspicious. I hope that Mutao doesn't ask any awkward questions about my not attending school yesterday. I was sick, that much is true. It's just the reason for it that I have to hide. Confident I can get by with tactical omission of certain truths, I stride into the classroom, doing my best to appear normal. The instant I open the door and take a single step in, I can feel a dozen eyes looking at me. There is no way I'm imagining this. They're not even making any attempt to hide it. My eyes take a quick sweep around the classroom, and I spot Hanako. We make eye contact momentarily before she looks down and stares very hard at her desk. Did she spill the beans? Mutao may be okay as far as teachers go, but underage drinking on campus is not exactly something that would be taken lightly. I looked to him with some trepidation. Feeling better today? Yeah, thank you. He motions for me to take my seat, my legs feeling like sticks as they carry me there. This is going to be a long day. As soon as the lunch bell rings, I'm on my way to Hanako's desk to ask her what's going on. Hanako, did you tell? She looks up at me and shakes her head. That's a big relief. It's just? Well, hello there, Hichan. It's nice to see you again today. I grimace and turned towards the unmistakable voice coming from behind me. That was way too upbeat of a tone of voice to feel comfortable, even from Misha. Misha's happy smile is nothing out of the usual. Shuzune's, though, is a very bad sign. The one she wears has become notched into my brain. As her, I have got you 7 ways from Sunday's smile. Hi, Shuzune, Misha. You look happy to see me. Not feeling well yesterday, Hichan? No, I wasn't, but I'm feeling better now, at least. That's good to know, Hichan. Why do I get the feeling that Shuzune is leading me into a trap? You sound like you are not being completely serious. Oh no, Hichan. We're genuinely pleased that you're all better now. Shizune is positively overflowing with happiness. There's only one reason why she would be like this. Oh no. In fact, we are quite worried about you after all. You, Hanako, Lily were all absent from class on the same day. Yep, she's got us so thoroughly that all I can do is sigh in defeat. I guess you have your own theories about this. Could you just kinda not tell anyone? It's a bit late for that, Hichan. I suppose she's right, considering the looks I got as I entered class. Still, things only seem to be at the level of vague suspicion rather than outright accusations, so we'll probably be fine. Hanako's face stinks a little further. Such attention is troublesome, enough for me to let alone for her. To be honest, I'm already tired of this game. Well, this shouldn't be the last stream, I think. Going by Shizune and Misha's reactions, I think they noticed this as well. The only reason why we're giving you such a hard time is that you ignored us yesterday morning. Yesterday morning? It takes a while to recollect what happened then, given the haze induced by a generally awful state I was in at the time. Oh right, the knocking. That was you two. It was, and you left us there for ages after we'd taken all the effort of coming to your dormitory early in the morning. Sorry, I was having a problem with nausea. They're not buying it. I can't blame them. Shizune's head drops in resignation before she reaches into her pocket. Something white and yellow can be seen sticking out a little. As she pulls it out, it turns out to be an envelope with very bright decorations on it. Oh, this letter. Since she points it towards me, I duly take it. This is what we were trying so hard to give you, Hichan. You don't check your... I tune out the sound of Misha's voice as my eyes register what's written on the envelope. Iwanako. I stare at the envelope for a moment, before suddenly remembering that there are people around me. There's a very strange, somewhat invasive feeling about their expressions. I kind of want to be alone right now. Iwanako. It's nothing. Thank you for bringing me this, you two. I should think so, after what we went through to get it to you. I step back and say my goodbyes. Misha theatrically pouts even as I go out the door, but Shizune and Hanako remain very visibly curious about my reaction. I hope they won't interrogate me on this later. Hello Sky, it's good to see you. The smell of the garden is, as always, a very pleasant sensation. Like and subscribe. Some of the most visible signs of how well funded the school is, aside from its sheer size, are the expanse and condition of the grounds. A good number of students can be seen eating lunch, chatting, and playing on the bright green lawns. Even some of the staff is enjoying the summer here, keeping watch over the students and idly walking along the long concrete paths. I'd never seen a sign like this in my home city. On excursions maybe, but certainly never in the school or anywhere near where I lived. Even the bench I sit on to read is warmer thanks to the summertime sun, reminding me of why I haven't worn the school blazer even once yet. Considering this, the sunflowers and splashes of vibrant yellow coloring adorning the paper are quite appropriate for the time, if only the words written on it were as well. Here I was thinking I'd managed to get over her, when this troublesome thing shows up. Her handwriting looks vaguely familiar at best, and only now I see it again. I remember that she used to write in pink pen a lot. She was always very girly, for lack of a better term. But she was also quite fragile. I never knew if I liked this aspect of her or not, though with arrival of this letter, that question seems to have become largely moot. The letter begins with not much more than an update on the state of things going on in her life. My old class had a good start to the school year. Many are anxious about the exams that will be coming up in the future, etc. but it ends on a very personal, if brief note. It feels a bit like she wrote most of the letter just to try and soften the blow from the ending. I wanted to somehow express my feelings, but the right words didn't come to me. I couldn't say anything to comfort you. I am really sorry for not being able to support you when it mattered the most. Even though I like you so much, at least now, finally, I can be more honest. If I could go back to those quiet days in February and March, I'd tell you to not give up on yourself. That's what I would say. Maybe you wouldn't have drifted so far away if I had just said something. I hope you've managed to get back on your feet on your own. Hello, Jum. Hello, Jum. Let's see, what's up? How's the route going? It's going, hopefully going well. Hopefully. Let's see, we're about to finish, I think, Act 3 and then get into Act 4. We may be able to finish today, I think. Hopefully we get the good ending. Now that the distance between us is also physical, it also feels more final somehow. I wonder if we will meet again. Perhaps it's for the best if we don't. Still, if you would like to correspond with me, by all means write me back. I'd very much like to hear about your new school, how you are doing. I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Hanako. Fingers crossed. And so that's that. Our relationship is over. I mean, didn't really have one, to be honest. Nice, neat, and tidy, with no ambiguity. I haven't held on to any illusions that it could ever begin anew. Last time she visited me, neither of us said a thing, except for the one word she said as she left, for the last time, goodbye. Be that as it may, this feels more final, the capstone on an experiment that both of us tried and failed at. A loud shout draws my eyes away from the letter. It's just some students horsing around, with one of the teachers standing nearby, coming over to talk to them. Are you okay? A tentative voice comes from my side. For a moment I assume it to be Hanako, but it's Yuko. Oh, hello, Yuko. I thought you'd be in the library. She gives a cheerful smile, one quite fitting the atmosphere, and flourishes the empty wrapper of a roll in her hand. She must have someone else covering for her while she grabs something to eat. It reminds me that I hadn't had anything to eat yet. I don't feel hungry though, and skipping one lunch won't hurt. Mind if I sit here? Sure, go ahead. I quickly slide the letter back into the envelope, slipping it inside my bag, propped against the side of the bench as Yuko takes a seat. She drops the wrapper into a bin beside us. Without much else to do, I lean back to take what enjoyment I can from the sun, sadly reflecting on the letter. The lush lawns, the clear blue skies, everything looks so different from the way it did back then. Even the school surroundings, from the hill it's on to the woods around it, are completely opposite to the unbanned urban scenery I remember. Maybe this is what it's like to feel homesick. Then again, it's not an outright bad sensation. The feel of the area around Yamaku, while very different, is also nice. I think I could get used to this. Hey, Hisao. Yeah? You didn't answer my question from before. I wasn't going to say anything, but you still look troubled. If you don't want to say anything, though, that's okay. I don't mind at all. I'm sorry for asking something strange like that. I don't mind. It's just, I got a letter from someone I knew before I came to Yamaku. It made me think about some things. I thought I'd managed to get over most of the problems that my accident caused. But now I'm not really so sure. Kinda wish I'd never seen it. I don't think that's good, Hisao. When my boyfriend left me, he did so very suddenly, and never let me know why. At first I was very depressed about it, but I decided to forgive him. Hello Zora, it's good to see you, You forgave him? Couldn't he at least have talked properly with you about it? He was always one of those people that found it difficult to come close to others. In the end, I decided that I fell in love with him for a reason. He was a good person, and I think that if I had been in his position, I would probably have found it just as hard to try and talk to him. I don't. really see the connection to the letter I got. How are you? I'm doing well. I think we'll be able to finish the game today. Hopefully. And hopefully I get the good ending. I mean that. How should I put this? It must have been very hard for that person to send that letter. And if they did, I think they must have thought very hard about exactly what to say. Iwanako managed to write this letter and bring a final close to our relationship, something that I never managed to do. Whereas here I am trying to protect and help Hanako as best I can, especially with Lily leaving for a while. I'm not even able to deal with my own problems. Does that make sense? She's taken my non-response and furrowed brow as a doubt. She really reads faces too much, just like a certain other person. Also, why is Sky wanting waifus? Well, you know, it's a dating sim. Yeah, that makes sense. The letter was just kind of a shock. Really, I think I'd tried to fool myself into thinking that my life reset when I came to Yamaku. But now, I'm suddenly aware that it didn't. I'm at a bit of a loss about how to deal with these feelings. I think that's something I can't really help you with, sorry. Well, you know. It's fine. I think being able to talk with you helped me get things sorted out a bit better in my head, so thank you anyway. She nods and smiles sweetly. Yuko is a nice girl, so it's a shame that she's so highly strung so often. The school bell ringing out startles us both. Oh, I was supposed to be back before the bell. Oops. She jumps off the bench and almost races off without a second word, but turns on her heel as she remembers she was talking to me just now. I'll see you later, Hisao. Cheer up, okay? I'll try to. Thanks, Yuko. With a quick bow, Yuko takes her leave and begins her rush to the library. Her flight catches the curious eyes of a few passing students who are unenthusiastically trudging back to their classes after their run. Reluctantly, standing from the bench, I dust myself off and join them. Even while I walk through the gardens back to the main building, the thought of the letter in my bag doesn't stray far from my mind. It's funny, he had a different reaction to the letter when I was doing the Emmy route. In the Emmy route, he was just like, I don't care about the letter. And this is what he's actually, like, thinking about it a lot. I don't know, I'm still waiting for the full game of dating game. Touch Starved. Oh my goodness. I don't think I've heard of that one. The feeling of walking through the streets is one of the very deep nostalgia, while Yamaku may be like the reverse of where I lived in the past. The city at night is amazingly familiar. My eyes are moving constantly from the bright electronic screens glowing high in the night sky to the street lamps piercing the darkness with their light, to the businessmen enjoying themselves after work and the busily taking couples on dates. Even if I didn't want to, I can't help soaking in every aspect of the city. I savor its familiarity like a sweet candy sitting on my tongue. Lily is walking to my left with her cane, swaying to and fro, holding onto her sister's arm for guidance while talking to her. There's a demo right now for it. I have the demo, but the full game isn't out yet. I see. I don't know, I don't really like playing demos because if you like them, you have to wait for the game to come out and you're like, oh my goodness. I just want to play it now, and then you forget about it, never play it again. Compared to traveling by taxi or bus, being driven by Akira in her rather nice car was a much more enjoyable experience. Maybe not for the person on my right, though. While Lily was used to her sister's driving style, I quite liked a bit of excitement. Hanako was holding very tightly to the door for the most of the trip. Everything looks so pretty at night. Hanako quickly looks down yet again as she accidentally catches someone's gaze. Yeah, it does. No, I won't forget the game. There is too many hot guys. Nice. My answer isn't very thoughtful since I'm distracted by so many thoughts that I find it hard to keep up on small talk. One of those distractions aside from the city's sights is how Hanako looks. This is the first time I've seen her in something other than her uniform or her pajamas. It gave me pause when I first saw her outfit, when she met up at the school gate. Considering how much her head is lowered when people walk near us, I imagine that the hat she wears is more than a fashion statement. While I was wary of Lily's plan to take us out into the city, when night fell, it became obvious she had thought about this. Not many people have paid Hanako much heed since the darkness hides her scarring well. Damn, now I need to go eat. Nice. Eats foods. Foods is very nice. So, we're in the city. Any ideas of what to do? Akira beams a smile. Something tells me that she's the one who is making this particular decision, even if her sister may have proposed the outing in the first place. But I want to watch you. Don't worry, I will be here. Reading. And see. You'll see. Just follow us. I nod and try my best to stifle a grimace. After what happened during Hanako's birthday party, I don't trust Akira's judgment all that much. We keep walking and I notice that we're passing more and more cafes, restaurants, and other eateries. Every once in a while, a drunken man in a suit comes out of a bar, usually being supported by another, but for the most part, the customers around this part of the city look young and fashionable. Different kinds of music come and go as we pass by each business. The discord created by the overlaps should be grating, but it reminds me so strongly of the times I spent in the city with my old friends that I don't mind. Hanako and I have started to drift a little apart from Lily and Akira. That comes to a stop when I hear a soft thud from beside me. Sorry. By the time she rights herself from her apologetic bow, the middle-aged businessman she bumped into is walking away after mumbling a half-hearted apology. Hanako looks a little put off by the experience, and as she quickly skips ahead to match my pace, I notice her head hanging low once more. She probably bumped into him because she was looking downward and not where she was going. I step to the side a little and put one hand on her shoulder, driving her closer. Isao? It's okay, you can walk closer to me if you want. Hanako hesitates, but eventually nods in assent. After a couple of times when I thought we had arrived at Akira's destination, we reach our target. By now we're below the elevated walkways and past the most garish and brightly lit places. I'm a bit surprised. The average age of those around us is distinctly older, and the smell of cigarette smoke is pretty thick. The area is far from seedy though, and it's a little amusing to see Lily's reaction to the smell of smoke. While it's masked by low talking of those around us, jazz music can be heard emanating from the inside. Looking up at the dimly lit sign, it becomes obvious why. A jazz club. I have to admit, this isn't what I expected. Lily gives an amused snort and a smile. Somehow I feel like I should have known it, Akira. As we talk outside, I notice more and more odd sideways glances directed our way. People awkwardly catch themselves staring and look away, but that just makes it more obvious. I had noticed this occasionally when we were walking, but it's more pronounced now. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. An average-looking Japanese teenage guy, just a little taller than normal, isn't the type to draw attention without making an effort. Hey, come on. Just because we are teenagers doesn't mean you can't have a taste, right? Well, I don't really mind the music, if that's what you mean. I don't mind it either. She's only just managing to force the words out, in contrast heavily to when we're alone in Yamaku. And it disappoints me a little that she's so highly strung for what's supposed to be a good time out in town. It's hard to read Hanako's face as she keeps looking downwards. It's a little wonder if she doesn't often come out into the city because of this, and it makes me a little thankful that my own scarring is easily hidden. Lily has a similar way of attracting people's gazes, but the reason for it is clearly different. She hardly looks like a native, and the same can be said for her sister. That much is far more noticeable than her blindness from a distance. When I first time saw Hanako, I thought she is a yandere serial killer. No, she's not a yandere. Look at her. She's so sweet. She may not be able to see this for herself, but I have little doubt she can hear the odd whispered phrase from people who think they're out of earshot. Although, maybe the reason she has her burns is because she burned her entire family. And the reason she burned them all is because they wouldn't allow her to be near the one she loved. No. Be that as it may, she doesn't seem to show any sign of either annoyance or pleasure at the intention. Akira's still as confident as ever, though. Flashing a smile, she strides in with Lily by her side and the two of us following behind. That went dark quick. I was just saying if she was a yandere, that's probably the backstory she would probably have. I had expected my eyes to need adjusting to light inside, but it's not much brighter than outside. The music we heard is clearer now, mixed in with the sound of glasses moving on the tables and counter, and the husky chatter of the patrons. Looking to my right reveals the music score of Source, a jazz group playing beyond some tables. The patrons seem to be mostly men, though there is a handful of women. Nobody looks under 30, aside from us, of course. It feels a little like we've stepped into the 1920s, and the atmosphere is quite agreeable. I'm not completely comfortable simply because of my age, but were I older, I would probably feel quite at home. Hanako seems a bit more relaxed now, probably due to nobody looking at her. Everybody's talking between themselves, drinking or watching the band. Akira casually takes a seat at the counter without even glancing around. She's probably come here before. Lily retracts her cane, feeling out the bar stool and the edges of the counter before taking a seat beside her sister. The bartender takes a brief break from polishing a glass to watch her, before putting it down and coming over. Good evening, ladies. What'll it be? Just a scotch, thanks. Lily? May I have a black-suited elbow hits her side sharply. Orange juice, please. No problem, coming right up. The bartender starts to pour their drinks. A couple of seconds pass before Akira suddenly remembers that Hanako and I are indeed here and turns around to us. You two want anything? Or are you just gonna stand there? Hanako seems to be getting a bit restless. No matter where you're going to seat ourselves, there's going to be people right next to her. And I don't think she looks convincingly older than 20, unlike Lily. Looking around, there's a game section to our right. A couple of billiards tables can be seen in the corner, and nobody's using them either. I glance to Hanako, about to ask her if she'd like to play, but she's already looking longingly in the same direction. Maybe it says something that we can get by with so few words nowadays. We'll go play pool over there. Akira leans back to see past me before shrugging and sitting back up. It seems you'll have to put up with me for company. How unfortunate. Have fun, you two. We turn and set off for the abandoned corner, with Hanako taking the lead. The prospect of a nice, quiet game away from everyone makes her walk noticeably faster. Her eyes stay firmly fixed on her prize. The table's full size and well lit despite the surrounding darkness. Thanks to the bright overhead lights, a huge painting of something covers the wall. There aren't many people milling about the corner of the club, and I can see Hanako becoming a little less tense as a result. You know how to play? I'm no expert, but yeah, I do. Then, 8 ball? Sure. Hanako gets the chalk and 2 cues from a set of books against one of the walls. while I fetch the balls from the table's pockets and grab the rack from a shelf underneath. She patiently waits as I get the table set up. After slotting the final ball into the rack and doing some last adjustments, I end up having to fight my perfectionist urges in getting the bottom row of balls exactly perpendicular with the edges. You'll literally just finish the Hanako route. Enjoy the ride. I hopefully I get the good ending. We'll see. I think I'm doing all right so far. Ori. Everything should be fine. It'll all be fine. Nothing bad will happen. Everything is just good. With the balls arranged and ready for play, I step back and take my cue from her outstretched arm. I carry out a quick inspection of the tip before I'm satisfied that it's in good condition. So you've played before? Once or twice. I just kind of know the rules. The air between us feels a little awkward. She's still pretty nervous, understandably, given that we're in public. Eventually the silence becomes too much even for Hanako, and she begins to quietly stammer. Who will break? I think for a moment before reaching to my pocket and drawing a coin. I'll take heads, your tails. After a nod of agreement from Hanako, I flip the coin up in the air, catch it, and flip it over onto the back of my left hand. Looks like it's you that gets to break. Hanako nods again before taking up her position at the end of the table. She's not usually this quiet around me, but I'm not wholly sure if it's because of the tidbit of information about her past that slipped out moments ago. The cue comes back in practice gesture before smacking dead into the center of the cue ball with a thud. The white ball skates across the smooth green expanse before smashing to the carefully arranged balls at the other end. Balls skitter across the table at high speed. The break was good, with the balls being nicely distributed around the table. My eyes are already flickering from one side to another to pick out the easiest candidates to a pocket. Hanako retreats from the side, and I take my shot. Well done. It's only after Hanako says that I realize the ball I was shooting at was sunk. I look at her and I notice a small smile on her face. It's nice how playing games seems to loosen her up a little. Guess I'm striped then. I take a step back and let her take the next shot, but she doesn't advance to the table. Rather, she looks down a little and rubs her arm. By now, I can identify this as one of her gestures that mean she wants to say something, but isn't sure enough of herself to do it. What's up? It's just, you had a nice smile. Do you like playing this? I sigh and lean back against the table. I like playing, yeah. I think I was smiling because it's really nostalgic, though. Hanako tilts her head quizzically. Me and my friends used to play pool in the game centers near where we lived pretty often, and at night too. Wouldn't your parents? My parents both worked, so they didn't mind me being in the house. Mind me not being in the house. I stayed on top of my schoolwork pretty easily as well, so there was plenty of time to do other stuff at night. Our conversation dies down, with Hanako's timidly getting the better of her. In response, I get off the table and let her take her turn shooting. There aren't many solids in easy positions, so Hanako bends down and takes a while to line herself up properly. Hanako's expression is the same as when we play chess, a relaxed but focused concentration. Athletes sometimes talk about getting into the zone where nothing unnecessary enters their mind, and I wonder if that's something she can do. Her posture is good, better than mine, to be sure. It's very close to the textbook method of playing, whereas I tend to contort myself into whatever position I feel is most natural for the shot I'm taking. She lines up the cue comes back, and she does a couple of practice movements to make sure she's lined up correctly. Hanako takes a game so seriously. It's the only real hobby I know she has outside of reading. It feels good to be able to share that kind of experience with her. She takes the shot after carefully consideration, and the cue ball zooms off towards a ball. It's sitting at a slightly awkward angle near a corner. Hanako's careful preparation pays off as the cue ball hits and sends the ball rolling towards the corner pocket. For a moment, it looks like it'll stop just on the lip of the hole, but eventually it tilts just enough to drop in. Nice. Man, that was a hard shot. If you can pull that off, I don't think I have much hope. I'm not that good. It's not just the shot though. Even when lining it up, you looked really serious. You're like this with chess too. The praise makes her a little flustered. She sets the cue against the table and stands turning to me. I just like those kinds of things. Her fingers are twisting and turning tightly. When I was in the orphanage, I just kept doing the things I liked before. So her parents did die. If I played games with the others, that was enough for the helpers there, so I never thought about it that way. Staff at an orphanage would naturally want to have everyone socialize at least a little. If it's okay for me to ask, what was it like for you at the orphanage? Why do you want to know? I've touched a nerve, but the fact that she responded at all shows that there is at least a chance she'll answer my question before she likely would have just shrunk away from it without a word. I'll tell you, but could you tell me who Iwanako is? Iwanako? Oh, the letter. I wonder how long she's been waiting for the right opportunity to ask this. I'm surprised, but don't hesitate. Sharing information is naturally a matter of give and take. She's someone I used to like. Her nervousness subsided, at least for the time it took to ask. Her curiosity is getting the better of her, and I feel a bit uncomfortable to be questioned on this, of all matters. There's no way I could spill out all my feelings about Iwanako here. I don't even know myself what my feelings regarding her are, even after talking to Yuko earlier, and I want to avoid the subject around Hanako. Just tell her. Hanako doesn't look overly satisfied with the awkward ending to the discussion, but thinks better of continuing it. She was only just managing to ask me in the first place, without knowing that I wouldn't want to talk about it. I move to finally take my own shot. The lack of talking between us is filled by the chatter of other patrons and the band at the other end of the club. Spying a shot that doesn't look too difficult, I try and shoot for it. The cue ball taps the ball, and the trajectory is about right, but I put it too much power and grazes the corner of the hole and moves off to the side, just skirting the pocket. Oh. I grit my teeth a little. I was pretty good at this game, and it's frustrating to have deteriorated so much. I step back and let Hanako take her turn, glancing towards the counter where Lily and Akira are sitting. They're talking busily between themselves and seem to be having a good time. I turn back to Hanako as she takes her shot. With the same face as before, she lines herself up and sharply pushes the cue. Just as before, she sinks the ball she was aiming for. It drops into the side pocket, more cleanly than her last, though it looks as if she's getting a bit more into the groove of the game. Nicely done. She hesitates for a moment and begins to address me without turning her head. The orphanage was nice. It felt a bit like Yamaku does, and the staff were really kind. But as the years went on, I realized something. I was different. It feels strange to hear her speak so candidly about herself. She's audibly forcing the words out. It reminds me of when she insisted she tell me about the fire. Hanako must feel that she has to tell me of such things if I'm willing to tell her about my own past. Her grip on the cue tightens as she continues to speak. Most of the children there were up for adoption, just like I was, but unlike me, they gradually left, one by one. By the time I went to Yamaku, I was among the oldest children there. For a while, I helped with some of the younger children, But eventually, I lay a hand on her shoulder. She's forcing herself by now. It's okay. She looks mildly surprised for a moment, but then nods before setting down her cue and turning towards me. Do you really think so? Yeah, I think so. Even while Lily's away, I'll be around to protect you, right? Hanako looks at me for a long time, and I'm taken a bit off guard. Her expression hasn't changed from before, still looking somewhat maudlin, and silences between us aren't unusual. I think it's the fact that she's holding such prolonged eye contact that makes this feel a bit odd. No one wanted the little burned girl. Yeah, how could you not want to raise this girl? Look at her, she's so sweet. My goodness. It feels as if she's judging me. It's a very strange, vaguely uncomfortable feeling. Hanako? I understand, thank you. She smiles and looks away a little, but it feels stilted. Hanako isn't very good at faking emotions, and this is no exception. I move to the table and take my turn to try and distract myself, but it doesn't seem to work. Does she think I'm not up to the task of helping her? Is she disappointed in me? I'm probably overthinking this, while her silences are just an accepted fact of life by now. Sometimes I do wish she'd speak more. With a thud, I send the white sphere careening down the table into my target. Hanako sees what's happening just as I do. The ball hits hard, with the striped ball I'd intended to sink veering off towards the 8-ball. Sure enough, as both Hanako and I look on and bite our lips, they connect, and the black ball rolls leisurely into a corner pocket. Aw, you lost. All I can do is sigh. It looks like Hanako is smiling again though, so maybe it wasn't for naught. That was an awful shot. You win. It seems I'm getting pretty rusty after all this time. Hanako bends down and begins to shoot the remaining balls into the closet and to the closest pockets. I almost ask if we could play another game, but as quick check of my watch confirms that the night is getting pretty late. Lily and Akira appear to be still drinking at the counter. Seems like we'll have to drag them away. He's out. I turn back to Hanako, who's still looking over the pool table, shooting balls. Her voice sounds different from before. I'm here for you as well. I suddenly find myself blushing. It's only natural that she'd respond this way, given what I said earlier, but it's still a little shocked to actually hear it. Just what is my relationship with this girl? I wanted to protect her, to make her happy. I'm not really sure that it's something like love, but I don't think these are the same kinds of feelings I have for Lily either. I feel sorry for her, having gone through so much in her life. Her parents died in a house fire, and she lived in an orphanage for much of her childhood. I can't even imagine that kind of life. But I feel like there's so little I can do for her, especially now that Lily is going to be leaving the country. Hanako and I finish tidying up the table and cues and pick Lily and Akira on our way out of the club. It feels like something changed between Hanako and me. I can't quite place what it is, but Hanako is acting differently now. I feel like we're further apart, if anything. So, you enjoy yourself? Hanako and I both nod and agree. The game was good, and we both did learn more about each other, so it's an honest answer. Lily appears to be a little distracted. Worried about the trip, Lily? She pauses before sighing and smiling weakly. A little. It means quite a bit. The comment earns her a clap on the shoulder from her sister. Hanako smiles back too. You'll be okay, Lily. I hope you can enjoy your time over there. Thank you, Hanako. I'll try to. It will be nice to be back with my family, after all, no matter how brief a time it may be. With that, the four of us begin to walk to the car park, where Akira's car is. We continue to talk between ourselves, but it's mostly just small talk. Do 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 do. Wait. Right then, are you taking the bus, Lily? Lily motions to a large suitcase standing beside her. I'll have to take this with me, so I've booked a taxi. It'll meet us at the school gates in about 5 minutes. Oh, I see. Lily reaches down and feels out the handle of her suitcase. Its weight causes her some difficulty, so I quickly offer to take it myself. That is awfully kind of you, Hisao. She has no qualms about accepting, and I end up picking it up. It's not what I'd call light, but it's not exactly heavy either. I don't think I'll have too much trouble carrying it. Well, thank you then. We should hurry though. If the taxi leaves, then it will take quite a while to book a new one. Are you ready, Hanako? Yeah, let's go. We rush to the gate as fast as we can, only to find that the taxi has yet to arrive. Well, nothing like a bit of exercise in the morning. The nurse told me that I should be doing that. I think he probably had other things in mind, Hisao, and probably with more regularity. For some reason, I had a hard time reading. Do you intend to be helping people with their luggage every day? I guess not. Looks like we've got a bit to wait anyway. How long should we wait for a taxi before calling them again? I would say another 10 minutes, but they've never let me down before. There's probably just a little traffic. Okay then. So how long is the flight to Scotland? About 16 hours, if I remember correctly. It's a bit hard to tell with the changing time zones. So long. It's now that I realize Hanako's been unusually quiet, even for her. She doesn't handle stress well, so she's looking really uptight. Yeah, I can't imagine being on a plane for that long. I've only ever flown on a short family holiday up north, so it really is quite hard to fathom. If Hanako's spent so much time in her childhood at an orphanage, she's probably traveled very little, let alone alone. It's not too bad. I'll spend most of it either asleep or catching up on my English. I hardly use that here, so I need to refamiliarize myself with it a little. Will your accent be a problem? I wouldn't worry about that too much. It may be an issue initially, but I should be fine once I get used to it. We all move to sit down on the small bench beside the school gate in silence. Strangely enough, even though I know that Lily is going away, I can't think of anything to say to her. Lily is a reliable person, so it might be because she isn't the one that I'm thinking of the most. Lily might not be able to see it, but Hanako's chewing her fingernails nervously. I move to talk to her, but can hear an engine straining up the hill before I get a chance. Oh, I think the taxi's on its way. Well spotted, Hisao. I only just heard it as well. A small wave of pride washes over me. To have noticed something at the same time as Lily must mean that I've become more aware of my surroundings. Anyway, we won't have to call the taxi company, nor worry about missing Lily's plane. Once the taxi stops where we're standing, the driver rolls down a window and leans over. After confirming that yes, Lily is the same Lily Satao that booked this trip, we sort out her luggage. The driver opens the trunk of the taxi and takes Lily's suitcase, with Lily climbing into the back seat as he loads it into the trunk and slams it shut. After getting back into his seat and shutting the doors, he waits for us to say our farewells. Have a safe trip, Lily. Take care of yourself. Hanako looks understandably downcast, and that much is obvious, even in her voice. Of course I will. I'll be back before long. Don't worry. There will still be another person here for you too. Won't there, Hisao? Yeah, of course. I turn and smile to Hanako, putting my hand on her shoulder. She only manages to keep eye contact with me for a couple of seconds, her cheeks red all the while, before turning back to Lily. See you, Lily. Goodbye. Lily gives her farewells to the both of us with a fair measure of reluctance. Without further ado, the driver starts the engine once more, and they begin the journey down the hill and towards the airport. The two of us stand at the gate for a long time, even after they've disappeared from sight, not really knowing what to do. So, what do you want to do? I don't know. How about we call it a day? Let's see, no. Do you want to go into the city? Yeah, let's go to the city. I probably should have saved. Let me save. Let's see. Oh, it already chose. Never mind. Whoops. The bus stops standing by the school gates like a mute sentinel, puts a strange idea in my mind. Do you want to head into town and look for a bookshop or something? We have the rest of the day free. It's a long shot, as Hanako doesn't like going to the city. I count the fact that we managed to get her out there, even when it was so dark, as a small miracle. But I genuinely want to spend more time with her. Anyway, she's likely to just refuse and go back to... Okay. Oh, I think I made the right choice anyway. I think we're good. Really? Really, let's go. You know, I haven't saved in a very long time. Oh, man. There we go. I can't work out why Hanako has decided to agree with me, but I'm not about to ask her to change her mind. Stepping off the bus, I immediately noticed that a lot of people are around us. In hindsight, it should have been obvious. Of course, lots of people will be downtown on a Saturday afternoon. Hanako retreats close to my side, and I can feel her hand clutching my arm tightly. Her body is held against mine, and her head is bowed so low that her hat hides most of her scarring. Oh, love her casual wear. Yeah, her clothing is really nice. Hello, Leather. Hello, Leather. It's good to see you. So, where shall we go? A bookshop? Hanako's present and my own other general living expenses have pretty much drained my budget, but I should be able to afford a few books. There's something I tried to reserve a few funds for anyway. For a second I think Hanako didn't hear me, but then I looked to my side and noticed her nodding almost imperceptibly. Okay, do you know of one? Actually, I do. We passed a few when Lily and I were looking for your presents. Hanako's expression clouds a fraction. I've got to remember to stop bringing up her birthday. You both spend a lot of time? Or maybe I misjudged the situation. Holy, I am delayed by 30 seconds. 30 seconds, oh my goodness. We wanted to make sure we got the right present after all. Hanako smiles and blushes a bit. It's a small treasure when she does. Anyway, there should be a bookshop just up ahead. Do you want to check it out? I fixed it. Nice. Sure. The crowds start to build as we head towards the bookshop along the raised walkways. Hanako latches her other arm onto me as well, making our progress a little slower. What? As we walk, the sound of traffic makes me think of a possible distraction for her. Get some good books, heck yes. I was wondering, Hanako, have you thought yet about when you're going to learn to drive? Driving? Yeah, you're kind of lucky in a way. There aren't a whole lot of students in Yamaku that are allowed to drive. It's not the best topic of conversation, but I want to try and distract Hanako from the situation. She's really highly strung right now. Then again, all I've really done is make her feel awkward, since she's probably never thought about it. I wish I hadn't said anything. Before long, we are before one of the bookshops Lily and I passed by during our search. The kind of self-respecting bookshop closes on Saturdays. Oh, what kind of self-respecting bookshop closes on Saturdays? Bookshops don't make much money anymore because of the internet. Maybe they just had to close over weekends. That's weird, but you would never close on a weekend. Why would you close a bookshop on a weekend? If they're already not making a lot of money, that's just going to make even less money. She seems pretty knowledgeable about technology. Screw driving. Yeah, I don't like driving either. I'm not much of a driving person myself. Hello, Zora. Hello, Zora. Good to see you. Good to see you. She seems pretty knowledgeable about technology. I guess it's a pursuit that would lend itself well to someone who enjoys solitude. Huh, I guess that makes sense. It's easier to find books online. Anyway, it looks like the idea is shot. Anything else you'd like to do? If it's not a bother, could you show me where you brought my present? Sure, not a problem. It's not far from here. I head off in the direction of the store, only half sure of its exact location. I don't want a repeat of the last time, spending half a day walking around aimlessly. Here we are, Otelio's Antiques. It's small. Well, yes, it took Lily and me some time to find it. Can we go in? I don't see why not. It's open. Hanako pushes through the door and enters before me. Once again, the store is empty, save for the store owner. His face drops a little when he sees me. Oh, you're not here for return, are you? Wait, that's not the girl you had with you last time. Oh, no, we're not here to return anything. We were just in town and wanted to have another look in here. The store owner considers this for quite a long time. I guess he's not used to high school students coming to his shop on a regular basis. Might this be the friend you bought gifts for? That's right. They were presents for her. The store owner turns to Hanako, who freezes on the spot like a deer caught in the headlights. I don't know, every time they make they do the freeze sprite, she looks more cute than like she's freezing. My goodness. It's like, ah. He moves to address her, but stops before doing so, looking a little taken aback. He catches herself staring and looks to the side, addressing us indirectly. His expression is awkward and tense, as is his entire body. I want to be mad at him, but I know full well that I had the same instinctive reaction. When I first saw her, first surprise, then curiosity, then an awkward look away as I dealt with what I've seen. Hanako looks less panicked than before, but I think the feeling she's giving off now is worse. It's not anger nor annoyance. If anything, it's one of apology. You're lucky there, young lady, to have friends that care about you as much as they do. But thank you. If I hadn't spent so much time with Hanako, I wouldn't even have realized that she said anything. Then again, the store owner's mumble was hardly clear either, thanks in part to being directed away from us. Hanako strikes out into the store, gazing in wonder at the various items on display. She finds the doll section and spends lingering minutes studying each and every one. It's a side of Hanako I've only barely been introduced to. I was astonished when Lily said she liked dolls, and even more to find her collection sitting on her dresser. She looks a little better now that she's distracted and out of the store owner's sight, but I'm still quite put off by the whole experience. I might have my own problems, but I've never had strangers react to me like that, as if I was something completely alien to them. This is a nice shop. Yeah, it's not what I expected. Do you want to buy something? I didn't bring any money. Well, we can always come again. Now that I know where to find it, that is. We can? Of course, you can come here as often as you'd like. Thank you. You don't need to thank me. I almost forgot where that place was. I don't really think either of us completely believes in what we're saying, but rather we're just repeating that we think we should say. Can't we go back to school now? Sure thing. Let's go. As we leave for the bus stop, I see the store owner peek through the curtain at the back of the shop. I'm not really sure what that glance he gives to her says. It feels a bit weird, and the fact that Hanako didn't see it is both a relief and a bit frustrating. Hanako and I stopped walking once we reached the concrete area between the dormitory buildings. There was barely a word said between us on the way back from the city. Well then, goodbye. Do you want to have some tea or something? How about a game? Hanako shakes her head embarrassingly. I'm tired. Maybe later. I got homework. She sounds a little depressed. Hanako obviously does want to do more, but I suppose she would have a bit of schoolwork to catch up on. She's missed a few days of lessons. Homework. Thanks for reminding me. I've got the stack to do as well. I guess I'll see you tomorrow. See you, Hisao. Before I can say goodbye, Hanako has turned and began walking towards the entrance to the female dormitory building. I look at the door she disappears through for a bit before going off towards my own dorms. Today was a tiring day. The end of the act. Oh. Nice. Act 4, Scars. Finally, Act 4. Drink some water. And go ahead and save. Wait. Save. I woke up and took my pills, had a nice shower, quickly slipped on my uniform, and ate a tasty breakfast, grabbed my bag, and headed off all as per my usual daily routine. It was only after arriving in class that the normality of the day was thrown off. After taking my seat, I watched my classmates trickle into the room over the next hour until every empty seat was eventually taken, other than Hanako's. I can never get used to the idea that she doesn't show up to class every now and again. It feels all the more worrying now, as well, given that Lily's left. As Mutao continues to drone on, I find my gaze flickering ever so often over to her seat, as if she might appear there any moment now. Nobody else seems to care at all about her absence, but they have little reason to. Hanako being absent from class, after all, is perfectly normal, or at least it was. Her attendance hasn't been all that bad what I've seen in the past, seen in my time here, but it was apparently much more spotty beforehand. This is also ominous time for her to be gone. It's the day before her birthday, and my suspicions are starting to rise after the breakdown she had in class when it was mentioned. An increasing amount of my thoughts is taken up by how I can help her, but in the end, I feel like I can't do anything. The bell heralding the beginning of lunchtime rings out, shaking me out of my thoughts. A collective sigh of relief can be heard from the class, though Mutao looks quite put off. He dislikes being interrupted in the middle of his exciting lectures, after all. Just when I'm wondering what I should do on lunch break, given that Hanako and Lily aren't here, the solution presents itself. I knew it. Afternoon, Hichan. Afternoon, Misha, Shizune. You both look as bright as ever. Shichan wants to know if you'd like to have lunch with us today. Sure, it'll be good to have some company. The cafeteria hums with activity, much like my old schools did. Yamaku is different, though, in how strangely civilized the lunchtime rush is. What one would expect to be in an unruly mob chomping at the bit to get to the serving area is rather a neat and organized line. There's a small amount of jostling, and people's heads are often craning around to check on what's happening up ahead, but it's pretty subdued. This is due to, no doubt, to the very serious rules regarding such matters in this school. The same strict discipline is observed when students move in the hallways or come to and from their dormitories in the school gate. While the reasons for it may be slightly off-putting, I've come to quite like this sense of order that's enforced in the school. I didn't really like being told by Shizune and Misha to get their lunches, though I feel a little used as I take a seat at the table where they're sitting, plucking their food down in front of them. Sweetbread, strawberry milk for Misha, a bowl of ramen and juice for Shizune. I heave a sigh of relief as I put it all down. After the significant difficulty I had carrying it all in addition to my own lunch. Thank you. Misha claps her hands together before popping open the wrapper and digging into her bread ravenously. Shizune simply gives an appreciative nod before giving her steaming ramen a stir and blowing on it a little to cool it down. I open my own lunch, another packet of sweet bread, and take a bite before washing it down with some juice. The bread is very sweet, so much so that I ended up forcing myself to stomach it, just to get the experience over with. Midway through, I decided to take a break from the difficult task and ask what's on my mind. So I'm guessing you two had a reason to drag me down here? You two seem to always have an ulterior motive after all. What are you saying, Hifan? We won't have any other muff. I can't read that. Her mouth is full of sweet bread as she speaks. It's a pretty unpleasant sight. Shizune looks a little grossed out before going back to eating her ramen. I wait until Misha swallows what she has in her mouth before speaking again. You're not buttering me up to make me work with you after school. No. Not trying to extract information from me that I might not want to give. Nuh-uh. Fine, you win. I guess you just wanted to eat lunch with someone as intelligent and handsome as me then. That's it, Hichan, you got it. Shizune looks unimpressed as Misha finishes signing our conversation and sucks in the last of a long doodle as she signs her own thoughts. Hichan says you shouldn't be so suspicious of us. She's just doing her duty as a class representative after all. How is she or are you doing that? As much as I hate to admit it, it looks as if I'm still having trouble communicating with Shizune. It should be a simple matter of keeping eye contact with her and addressing Shizune instead of Misha in my speech. But when somebody else is doing the talking for her, it's a surprisingly difficult task. It's the class representative's job to ensure everybody's doing all right in class, isn't it? Not really. Wait, how is making me get your food ensuring that all go well in class? Shizune huffs and adjusts her glasses disapprovingly. So this is the thanks we get for giving you companionship during lunchtime. That's a total dodge of the question. Wait, hang on. How did you know that Lily's away and Hanako is absent, and since those two are the only people you hang out around with. You also made it kind of obvious to see. Ouch, I may well have done so, but she didn't need to rub it in. Maybe this is a payback for before. Right. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. That isn't sarcasm. The two nod, and we get back to finishing our meals. It feels a little embarrassing to be accomplished just because they noticed I was lonely. Accompanied just because they noticed I was lonely. But it isn't as if they're strangers either. It isn't long before I finish the last of my bread and start on the last of my juice. As I do so, I find my mind wandering back to what I've been thinking about before the two interrupted my train of thought. It feels like I'm the only one in the class that so much as acknowledges Hanako not being there. It felt like this the other times she skipped class, but now it's even more acutely annoying. Does nobody care if she's happy or not? Have they just written off any possibility of helping to make her better? Even Mutao doesn't try to keep her in class, and I'm still not wholly convinced by his reasoning. Hey Hichan, is your juice past its expiration date? What? You were pulling a weird face like this. As if it were needed, Misha mimics my own expression. Her exaggeration makes me grimace, though Shizune at least takes some amusement from it. I was just thinking about Hanako. Oh? Misha's interest is piqued, and so is Shizune's, once my words are interpreted for her. I'm just worried about her being absent so often, especially now, though, what with her birthday coming around. Hello, how's Katawa Shoujo's been? It has been good. I do enjoy this game. It's really good. It's really good. We're now on Act 4, and I think we're just on the first chapter, so we got a bit while before we get to the end. Hopefully we get the good ending. The memories of that incident in class are still fresh in their minds. Their faces alone are telling that much. And hello, Minkyu, it's good to see you. Do you know anything about Hanako? Anything that might help? Misha shrugs and looks to Shizune, who mulls on this for a while. The only people she's ever talked to for more than a sentence or two are you and Lily. Shizune may not be able to convey Lily's name in a derivative tone of speech, but I feel as if it comes through in her sign language. The effect is lost, however, after Misha's interpretation. There are a couple of things we know about Hanako as student council members, thanks to the records that pass through our hands, but we can't say anything about what's in them. I've heard a bit about it. It sounds very interesting. It's pretty good. I would say this has been a surprise, especially since this game was free. Understandable. It sounds a lot like the nurse's patient confidentiality. Every time I find someone that knows something about Hanako's past, it turns up being a dead end. The only way I'll ever find out is by asking her, and I don't know if she'll let me know such things, but if it's for her sake, I have to at least try. Don't worry about it, Hichan. It happens every year after all. That doesn't remove my sense of worry at all. I still feel a little at fault for what happened in class, but this feels like it goes further, even without their confirmation of that fact. I'm have a dip. My earbuds just ended their life sub. Oh no. Sads. I think that this game takes too long. It does take a while, but I don't think it's too bad. It's only what? I mean, if you weren't reading out the entire thing, this game would probably be a lot faster. If you were reading this in your head, it'd probably be a lot faster. So probably like 8 hours, maybe. Maybe 6 if you're reading quite fast. Misha notes my troubled expression, her own usually happy and reassuring face dropping. Everyone has problems they have to deal with, right, Hichan? Yeah, I just wish I could help Hanako more with hers. With that, the conversation trails off on a depressing note. Eventually, Misha manages to pick the mood back up through her usual bright and bubbly antics, but my mind remains focused on Hanako. I'll go check on her later. I make sure my door is locked after dropping off my school bag. The dorms are quiet. Mutao kept me occupied longer than I expected, discussing my studies after classes, and it impressing on me some worksheets to give to Hanako, almost as an afterthought. Oh, it's free. Need to add it to my endless backlog. It is quite free. Free on Steam. Absorbed in thought. Never mind. Live captions are a thing on my phone. Live captions. Do I have those on? I don't remember if I had turned them on or not, but I guess they are. See, absorbed in thought, I'm late in registering the shadow that appears in front of me. Looking up reveals the owner of said shadow. Hey Varden, and chat, how's it going? It is going well, Flash. It's good to have you. Oh, this guy. Hey man, haven't seen you in a while. Oh, hi. What's with that response? My absent-minded greeting visibly annoys him. I'd probably have had the same reaction. Sorry, just thinking about a lot of stuff. Thinking is a pretty poor excuse not to be aiding the war effort. And how goes the war? I am preparing. Right now I need money to help with those preparations. If you want me to loan you money, just say it. No man, I'm good. You're good? You don't want my money? Hey man, don't look so surprised, it's insulting. Well, hey, you keep taking my money. Kenji, the killer of moods, exactly. Kenji always kills my mood. My goodness, my goodness. I'm pretty, let's see, and a serial borrower. I'm pretty, and he borrows money just because he doesn't want to break up his big bills. My goodness. I'm pretty big in the competitive bowling scene, but yesterday I found some guys who didn't know that. I'm fairly sure that betting would be against the school rules. School rules don't matter. This is a war situation. People these days, they have no appreciation for what war means. So what do you need this money for, dare I say? And dare I ask? Non-perishable canned food, building materials, mostly corrugated iron and wood panels, first aid kit, camping heater, portable radio, sleeping bag, flashlight, mechanical clock. Kenji looks like a weeb. He is a weeb. At first it strikes me as a rather random assortment of objects and materials, but after a few seconds it clicks. Isn't that a list of materials for a fallout shelter? Oh, so you've read a Protect and Survive booklet. It's good to see someone so knowledgeable about how to protect themselves. He is a butthead, exactly. You don't seriously think it's a non-zero possibility. No, I'm pretty sure there's zero possibility of that ever happening. He slowly and dramatically raised an eyebrow. Well, as dramatically as one can raise an eyebrow. The chance is, I don't know, 0.1 to the trillionth place. It's infinitesimal. Besides, where can you build a fallout shelter anyway? Certainly not on campus. It's my summer holiday project while I'm at home. My dad said I can do it. Really? Yeah, he thought it'll improve my crafting skills and manual dexterity, or something. Knowing Kenji, his dad probably just thought it might keep him out of his hair for a while. Still, it does make me wonder what his parents are like. Maybe they're totally normal, and Kenji is just an aberration. On the other hand, maybe this kind of paranoia and fearful survivalism runs in the family. Hey, want to help me build it? You look like the type to be handy with tools. If I had your help, we could make a really awesome bunker instead of just a fallout shelter. My headcanon is that Kenji is the maker of the Vault-Tec from Fallout. I believe that. I doubt that. Playing soccer before my accident gave me good footwork, but I've never really tried my hand at anything approaching real handiwork. I'm not really. I'm busy over the holidays anyway, I'm afraid. A shame. If the feminists ever get a hold of the launch codes, I fear that so few will be prepared. And your fallout shelter will protect you from a nuclear bomb explosion? In that case, this does matter. In the case that this does happen. A fallout shelter isn't meant to protect against the blast. That's what a blast shelter is for. I thought you knew better. My mistake. It fits since the people at Vault-Tec are definitely not all there upstairs. My home's pretty far away from any major military sites, so the fallout following a nuclear exchange is a bigger concern than the blast itself. What this'll do is keep the dust and other particulates away from me, my food supply, and my sleeping area. It's gonna last me at least 14 days though. 14 days is a pretty long time. It is. I need 1 liter of water a day for drinking, 2 optimally, so that I can wash as well. Toiletry is easy enough. Just garbage bags in a bin placed outside the shelter area. Food means canned supplies, of course. Of course. And the radio is for outside communication? Right. So I can pick up government alerts on what's going on outside. I need a mechanical clock rather than an electrical one, in case the electromagnetic pulse from nuclear airburst fries it too. There's all the other stuff I need as well, like extra clothing, matches, candles, and I think I still have time to gather it all. though, maybe. As much as I hate to say it, I'm a little impressed. He's really researched this and thought it through. Then again, I don't know if I want to live in a post-apocalyptic world with only people like Kenji having survived. Speaking of Fallout, did you guys know the IRS has a plan to keep collecting taxes after nuclear fallout? Yeah, even nuclear war can't prevent the IRS. Let me drink some water. The IRS will be the one government agency that will survive. It sounds like you really know what you're doing. Damn, right I do. It must be hard living in constant fear like this. He hardly ever socializes ever, so the fact he went bowling with others in itself something of a surprise. This mentality reminds me a little of a certain someone. Thankfully, her fear of others doesn't manifest in such a distinctly eccentric way. One thing I know for sure is that I certainly can't tell him exactly why I hadn't been hanging around with him much recently. It's late. I have stuff to do. I'll think about making a Fallout shelter or something, though. Yeah, alright. That's cool. A man has to do what a man's gotta do. After all. You should hang out with me sometime, by the way. You're a cool dude. Cool dudes should hang out together, right? For some reason, that compliment actually feels kinda nice. The situation with Hanako being what it is, though, means that I probably won't be able to fulfill his request. For now, at least. That'd be good. I'll talk to you later about it, when I can. Cool. Later, dude. He retreats to his dormitory room. I had better go see Hanako. I don't think you randomly spoke Spanish, have you? The live captions on my phone saying you spoke Spanish for a second. I did not speak any Spanish. Yeah, the captions aren't the best, especially for me. I think my voice is kind of... it's kind of hard to tell what I'm saying. I stand outside of the door to Hanako's room, hoping that she isn't in too much of a state as I nervously clutch the worksheets Mutao asked me to pass on to her. It's the one more reason to visit her, and it gives me something to talk about, so I suppose I should be thankful to him for giving me the task. With a long breath to steady myself, I rap my knuckles on the door in front of me. Silence. I listen intently for any sound shuffling, coming from inside, but I can't hear a thing. Knock on the door again, slightly harder. Still no answer. How strange. Scratching my head, I make one last attempt at getting her to answer as I knock on the door one final time. Hanako, it's just me. Mutao said to give you some stuff. For a while, the attempt seems to just as unsuccessful as the last. Just before I slip the sheets under the door, though, I hear the handle rattle. Now you're clear. It's stupid because it keeps thinking Shinobu is always speaking Japanese. At the door opens halfway. I quickly try to see how Hanako's faring. It's a task made somewhat more difficult by her oversized gown hiding so much of her body. She doesn't look sick, or at least not immediately so. To be honest, I'd have preferred that to be her expression right now. She looks terribly tired and appears to be barely acknowledging my presence. Hi, Hanako. Mutao wanted me to give you these since you weren't in class today. I hold out the loose sheets, which she tentatively takes in her hands. The way she moves is devoid of thought. Her posture is slumped in an unusual manner for someone that's so often tense and wound up. Even her eyes keep looking away from mine, doing their best to avoid eye contact. I move my head a little to try and get a better look, but she just ends up turning away. Are you okay? If you're feeling sick or anything, I can go get a nurse. It feels almost pitiful to put on such a routine, get well soon act. I can't think of anything else I could possibly do for her though. She seems to collect herself a little at the notion, but only a little. Her head remains turned away, but her eyes move towards me. I'm fine. An awkward silence follows as it lingers. I notice that the sleeves on the cuffs of her own gown bear slightly damp stains. Her cheeks are a bit red too. Has she been crying? I see. I see. I hesitate a little before coming out with the words I really came to here to say. Would you like me to stay? I don't have anything urgent to do at the moment, so it wouldn't be any trouble. Her eyes slide away from me, and I lose any hopes of or improvement of her mood. I wait for a response, but she doesn't say anything, nor give any kind of gesture. She just stands there, looking away from me. Hanako? She slowly shakes her head. Okay, good night then. With that, Hanako steps back and closes her door, without a second word. More than a little worried, I retreat back to my room. Wandering up the hallway, I keep mulling over what happened. It felt like Hanako was only half there, as if I was interacting with a robot that was just doing what it was programmed to do, without any real thought. She was a husk of a person. This is frustrating. I had hoped that beating Hanako would help the situation, but I feel like it's only made it harder to understand her. How am I supposed to try and help her when she quite literally shuts me out like that? I don't even bother to turn on the light, opting instead to simply change into my pajamas, quickly choke down my evening pills, and collapse onto my bed. Save. Let me go ahead and save. Save. Return. Once again, Hanako doesn't turn up for class. Try as I might to concentrate on other matters, this fact continues to distract me throughout the entire school day, and even as I walk through the school gardens to the dormitories. I don't think today being her birthday is a coincidence either. I don't know the link between the two events though, nor do I have any idea of what she's feeling. Were it physical pain, I could at least provide some limited comfort. With something like this though, I have no idea where to start. I run the people I know through my head, thinking about whether they could help. Shizune, Misha don't know that much about Hanako, and what little they do know, they can't tell me. Same for the nurse. In the end, there's only one person that knows Hanako well, and would be willing to tell me anything. Entering my dormitory room, I notice something that takes me off guard. It's starting to feel familiar. With everything that's going on around me, I'm thankful that the room started to finally be somewhere I can relax a little. When I had first entered Yamaku, it felt immediately foreign in every way, from the untouched neatness to the way it smelled. Honda Coupe. What? Oh, Honda Coupe? Yes, Honda Coupe. That's what I said. My goodness, my goodness. Focusing back on the task at hand, I throw my bag onto the bed as I open the top drawer of my desk. Before she left, Lily told me the number to call her on while in Scotland, and I wrote it down. In hindsight, I wonder if she knew something like this could happen. Now that she's out of reach, I realize just how much both Hanako and I have relied on her guidance. I dig around the drawer after drawer, looking for that damned piece of paper. Eventually, thankfully, I find it nestled under a borrowed library book. This is wild leather. I probably should have just entered it directly into my cell phone. Come to think of it, without further ado, I enter the numbers and anxiously press the call button. Eventually, the phone picks up, a feminine voice I don't recognize on the other end. It's probably Lily's mother. Sato? Oh, they're speaking English. See what I mean by dumb? English. Suddenly finding myself unprepared, I realize I don't understand a word she says, either due to my limited vocabulary or her heavy accent. I should have anticipated this, since according to Lily, her mother is a native Scot. I soldier on and hope that she must know some Japanese, considering it's her daughter's native language. It's Hisao Nakai speaking. An enthusiastic sound of realization can be heard as she recognizes the language. My feeling of relief is immense. Ah, you must be one of Lily's friends from school, correct? Even so, her accent means I have to concentrate to work out what she's saying. Yes, that's right. Please speak to you, Miss Satao, or Mrs. Satao. It's so nice of her to find someone so polite. Lily, dear, it's for you. Her mother seems nice, if a little overenthusiastic, given the mundane situation. There's a small silence as Lily takes her time getting to the phone. In the distance, I can just make out her mother scolding her playfully for just getting up. Hello, Lily, speaking. You sound awful. She makes a sound somewhere between a dying animal and a yawn. The one thing I did remember to check before calling was the time zone. It'd be pretty late in the morning over there, so she really has no excuse. Not feeling well? Just tired. What time is it there? Late afternoon. School finished for the day not long ago. Hanako's not well, is she? That was quick. My assumption that she must have known something like this could happen seems to have been on the mark. How did you know? Because today is her birthday. I'd hoped she might have gotten at least a little better after coming to know you, but how is she right now? She missed school today and yesterday. I still have to check up on her today, to be honest. After seeing how she was when I talked to her yesterday, I'm pretty anxious. I really have no idea what to make of it. Has this happened in the past? Is it related to her scarring in some way? Unfortunately so. Roughly the same thing happened last year when her birthday came up. As far as I can tell, it's because her parents died in the accident that caused her scarring, and Hanako blames herself for their deaths. Was it her birthday and she knocked over a candle and it killed everybody? Oh my gosh. That could happen. What she says does seem to make sense. If she's blaming herself for on her birthday, she may well be ruining that she was ever born. Hanako had mentioned her stay in the orphanage to me. Maybe I should take some part that she trusts me enough to tell me such a thing. Lily seeming so in the dark about it though, almost to the extent that I am, is a surprise. So that's why she lives in the school dormitories as well. Has she told you any more about the accident? As close as we've come, she's very barely told me anything about what happened. What I know about it is largely conjecture. She sounds depressed, almost defeated. Considering the trauma Hanako must have gone through, I really can't fault Lily for not knowing. Nevertheless, she still seems to consider it a personal failing. Don't blame yourself, Lily. With everything she's gone through, though. There's a long silence from the other end of the line. I begin to wonder if the call cut out before the voice at the other end speaks once again. There is another person, though, that has been a subject of worry for me as of late. Oh? I run through the people she could be talking about in my head. The only friends she seems to keep very close are Hanako and me, and though there is Akira as well. That person is you, Hisao. There's another silence on the line, but this time it's caused by me. Making others worry about me is something I've very actively tried to avoid since coming to Yamaku. Indeed, even my interaction with Hanako has helped stave off any major health problems thanks to our relaxed and slow-paced lives. What is there to worry about over me? I apologize, I didn't mean any offense. Sorry, I was just taken a bit off guard. Still, isn't Hanako a bigger problem at the moment? For some time now, I've thought that both of you may be feeding into each other's more worrying habits. I tried to amend this before leaving, but it seems to have done little. Worrying habits? When I asked you about what you had in mind for the future, your answer was very similar to what Hanako has said in the past when the question was posed to her. It is well and good to want to protect her, but I fear that treating Hanako like this, as if she were a daughter or someone in need of special care, is only going to achieve the opposite. The situation got effectively turned on its head. After everything that's happened, this is the first time I find myself doubting Lily's judgment. Save. Lily is never wrong. I don't think Lily's ever wrong. Agree with Lily. I don't want to admit it, but she may have a point. Something else bugs me, though. And you tried to amend this? Wait, our outing into the city. Quite astute. I thought it might help if I dragged you, both of you out of Yamaku and into the wider world. I am thankful you became closer for her, though. So she noticed that. I suppose she may well have been paying attention to us, and her hearing's incredibly good. Quite likely good enough to have picked up what we were talking about if she tried. This sounds more and more like you were manipulating us. Silence. It's a harsh way of putting it, but I have no intention of stepping back from those words. I'm sorry, I was just worried about you. It's fine. I guess there are more important things anyway. It's not a total surprise that she'd do such a thing. Her motherly nature can be slightly overbearing at times, but she does have the best of intentions. So you think I should think about myself more instead of trying to cater to Hanako? That largely sums it up. Again, sorry for not telling you this in a clearer way before going behind your back. I know I am at least as guilty of being overprotective of Hanako as you, but I fear that you're neglecting yourself and your efforts to give Hanako happiness. Do you really think Hanako will be okay? She isn't as fragile as you think. I don't know exactly what experiences she lived through or what feelings she has in her mind, but she has managed to work her way through them until now. It's also my hope that giving her a little space will allow her to decide what she truly wants for herself and give her the initiative to reach out for it. Please have faith in Hanako. That's all I ask. Ooh, self-sacrifice. We love that. I guess I'll think about it for a while. That's good. Being rash won't get you anywhere. I know that at times you may doubt your relationship to Hanako, but she does. Lily cuts herself off and takes a moment to reconsider her words. Please keep in mind that I wouldn't have befriended you if I hadn't thought you a fundamentally good person. You're a good friend, both to myself and to Hanako. Thank you. That helps. We share some small talk to try and lighten the atmosphere, but it feels very stilted. There's a lot I don't know about Lily's stay in Scotland, but after such a heavy subject, I want to be alone for a bit to think. True. After a few minutes, we end up saying our goodbyes, and I set my phone on my desk. Compared to Hanako's situation, mine feels utterly mundane. I still have both my parents. I had a reasonably normal childhood, and unlike many in Yamaku, my condition isn't immediately visible to the public. But then again, isn't this just an attempt to justify the way I've been acting towards her? That may well be what our pasts were like, but when it comes to the future, I still have no idea what I want to do. In school, I've just concentrated on each day's work, and I've put off more and more things to cater to Hanako. I recall the words Mutao told me after Hanako's breakdown about the purpose of Yamaku and my education. In hindsight, he was probably trying to push exactly the same thing. Just what have I been doing in the time since my heart attack? If I ever did manage to get Hanako out of her room and to open up, what then? I look out of my dormitory window as the sun slowly sets. It's a nice sight, but I really savor the quiet as the students return to their dormitory rooms. All I want to do now is think. I'm not sure how much time I have, but I want to work out where I'll go from here. Always listen to Lily. She's always correct. And go ahead and save. Return. Since talking to Lily's yesterday, I've wanted to try and move on from the listlessness I've felt ever since coming to Yamaku. But even if I try to concentrate on the book in front of me, Hanako's empty seat at the back of the classroom looms larger than life. Every time I start getting focused, my eyes flick over to her desk again and my mind starts spinning. Once more, my eyes drift over to it, but this time my vision is blocked by a certain other classmate. This girl's pretty cute, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, hi, Miki. Maybe you should just have lunch. I can hear your stomach growling from my desk. I let my head drop in disappointment. She seems to take some amusement from my reaction and hops up onto my desk. Her grin as she sits on it reminds me of the Cheshire cat. Gosh, I can't remember how to pronounce that. The captions Gayamaku, but not Hanako. Oh my goodness. So what you working on? Some math. I have to decide, have a decent handle on it, but I just wanted to revise. Oh really? Let me see that. Before I can object, she grabs my mathematics book with her hand. She scans the page I was on, holding it open with the one hand she has, her left arm sitting uselessly on her lap. In my time here at Yamaku, I've noticed that the other students have a wide range of adjustments to their disabilities. On a purely practical level, Miki is one of those who seem to have some trouble. The stump on her left arm tends to be either hanging by her side, slipped into a pocket, or otherwise put out of the way. Sometimes she has a difficult time doing common tasks, which makes her visibly quite frustrated. You got the Cheshire cat. A live cat's got it, so I think you did. Oh, really? I don't know how I did that. I feel a little bad for thinking this way, but I'm thankful that Hanako and I don't have disabilities affecting our freedom of movement to that extent. Miki's interesting. Yeah, she's a very like tomboyish kind of girl. Usually tomboys have the short hair, but she's got the long hair, which is still nice. I'm surprised they didn't make this girl romanceable in this game. And this seems to be the one route you actually interact with her. Then again, if Miki's problem worsened, at least she wouldn't have a real possibility of dying. My attention is refocused as she thumbs through a few pages, skimming their contents. With such casual interest in the subject matter, it's clear by now that she won't be any help. I mean, Sads there's no route for her. I'm guessing you're not too interested in this stuff. What? Who said that? Yeah, who said that? Who said such words? Screw math, it's boring as hell. She puts the book back in the front of me with indifference. Her eyes move to the notebook beside it that I had been working out practice equations on. Must have been the wind. Wait, you're actually able to work that stuff out? Yeah. Well, I've never talked to a computer with legs before. Thanks, I think. At least I'm doing better in this than history. Think it's worth asking that librarian for help? I heard she's shooting for uni. Oh, Yuko? Maybe. I don't know what she wants to study though. So what about you? Got anything you're thinking of doing after you graduate? Me? No, not really. Just enjoying it while it lasts. She looks a little awkward when asked about her future, and absent-mindedly rubs her left forearm. I kind of want to ask her about it, but I don't think I know her well enough to do so. The conversation peters out, and I lean back in my chair, giving up on the prospect of studying. Miki notices my tired expression and looks oddly serious. Thinking about Hanako? Is that obvious? You've been glancing at her seat, and you've been pretty quiet. Not too hard to connect the dots. I'm just worried about her. Yeah, I can see why you would be. She can get weird sometimes. She sounds put off, but I can't blame her. Hanako was a hard person to interact with before she warmed up to me, even with Lily around to help. I hadn't known her for that long either, so some of her habits would still be unknown to me. My face becomes troubled. If I hadn't developed feelings for her, this would be at least a little easier to deal with. Oh, I mean, no offense. She isn't a bad person, I know that much. I know, I didn't take it that way. It's just harder to deal with when, well, you know, you have feelings for someone. Yeah, I can imagine that. It's hard to forget something like what happened to her during class 2. I wish she hadn't reminded me of that. She just confirmed that it was clearly noticed by others in the room as well. Come on, don't get that down. She's done this before. You've just gotta wait it out. She locks herself in her room, acts like an empty husk of a person for a sizable amount of time, ever since she entered Yamaku, if not before, then as well, and I'm not supposed to be concerned about that. Oh, wait. Well, I might think that, but there's nothing that I can do. I can't force her to come out, as she does see a therapist, so it's not like she isn't getting any help for her issues. Maybe it's natural to think that way when you're so powerless to help someone. That's just the way she is, and you just have to deal with it. As I mull things over, I notice a movement out of the corner of my eye, and I glance to see who it is, and end up doing a double take. It's Hanako. Sure enough, it's Hanako. She walks through the door, just as she would any normal school day, and begins to move towards her seat in her usual silent, humble manner. She looks at me for a moment before blushing and looking away in embarrassment, which makes me realize that I was staring at her. I feel sorry for that, but not doing it is hard after all that's happened. The girl sitting on my desk looks to me, grinning. See, your sweetheart's back already. What did I tell you? You be quiet. It might only be meant as a joke, but she hits close enough to make me quite uncomfortable. As we talk, someone calls Miki's name from the door. She jumps down from her vantage point on my desk before turning to me. Gotta go, Hisao. Remember to eat sometime, will ya? Fine, I will. See you. Hisao's blushing. She gives a casual salute before jogging over to the door, where a male student in a gym uniform is waiting for her. Probably someone from the track and field club. Seizing the opportunity, I get up and make my way to Hanako's desk. Hello. Hi, Hanako. What's up? Nothing. Maybe talking to her this soon after she came back to class was a bad move. Want to go come with me and grab something from the cafeteria? I'm pretty hungry. But I thought you were studying. Studying can wait. Turning up for class after all this time must have taken some courage for Hanako. So the least I can do is stay with her. That's just the way she is, and you just have to deal with it. It's the way Miki and probably the class as a whole views Hanako. I can do more for her though. I want to do more for her. After being distracted by Miki, I don't think I'm going to get any work done. Come on, let's go. She hesitates, but eventually gets up and joins me as we begin walking. These may be small steps for her, but the fact that she's finally out of her room, of her own volition, lifts a large weight off my shoulders. Nice. Do. Looks like I may have made the correct decisions. I mean, so far the decisions have been pretty easy. It's been pretty obvious which one was correct. Let's go ahead and save. Save. My pen busily scrawls into a slowly filling page of my notebook. My other hand remains on the page of a reference book I borrowed from the library, marking my spot as my eyes flicker to and fro. As I work, I occasionally mark red circles or underlines on the photocopied sheets of paper that lie on the table in front of me. Wanting a change of scenery from the library and to avoid the distractions of the classroom, I decided to make use of the Shanghai for some quiet study time. It ended up being nice and quiet as expected, and being able to get coffee while I study is a nice bonus. Hanako may have returned to her normal self since she came out of her room, but I've done quite the opposite. Daily routine may have returned to us, but I feel as if I'm a different person. Maybe I'm not. It's only been a few days, after all, since I decided I wanted to try and get out of the rut I've found myself in after my accident. But I want to change, and I'm now actively working towards that goal. Or at least, I would like to think that I am. Oh, this isn't possible. Brute forcing this isn't going to work. What's more, I have another piece of writing I have to do after this. I fear that's going to be no easier. I look up in a mild surprise to the source of a tentative voice. Yuko stands at the head of the table with a damp towel in hand, clearly having taken the opportunity to clean the tables while no other patrons were around. She looks curious, her eyes as much on my work as on me. What's the matter? I was just wondering, what sort of work are you having so much trouble with? Oh, it's just history. I'm fine with science and math, so I'm trying to get my other subjects up to par. Yuko looks positively delighted at this development. I feel like I just chose the right answer on some big quiz show. Oh, I think I can help you with that. If you don't mind, of course. I briefly considered turning down the offer in order to not cause her too much trouble, but she looks too excited about this for me to do it. It would be mean to shoot her down like that after such a reaction. If you're willing to help, I'd really appreciate it. She claps her hands together and quickly deposits her towel on the counter before returning and taking a seat across from me. I take my notebook off the top of the textbook and hand it over for her to peruse. So you're studying the Edo period? Yeah, I'm not really much good at this though. She takes the textbook and reads a few pages from a random section near the middle for a bit, but the aura of enthusiasm she'd been radiating previously is rapidly sapping away. I'm guessing this isn't the kind of history you were expecting. Unfortunately not. My main area is European history, especially in the classical era. Sorry. She looks a bit downcast, but as she carefully closes the book and lays it back down on the table, her face perks up again. Would you like another cup of coffee? Oh, yeah, sure. I reach forward and get my book back as Yuko gets up, takes my mug, and slowly walks to the counter to make another brew. As usual, she's absolutely silent as she does this. Every ounce of her concentration is focused on not tripping over or dropping the plain white mug. I take the opportunity to lay back and relax for a bit, the hum of the coffee machine filling the otherwise quiet air. It's small details like that which make me realize how much I've come to appreciate the little things in life. The peace and quiet of the local town, the discipline and order of Yamaku, the green of the trees that were so rare in my home city, the relaxed pace at which the aging restaurant residents live their lives. Everything feels so certain, it's comforting. I can feel myself beginning to nod off when the sound of my mug coming to rest on the table grabs my attention. Seems like it arrived not a moment too soon. Yuko takes her previous seat once again as I pick myself up and bring a hand around the mug to check its temperature. It's just a little too hot to drink right now. Again, so I blow on it a little. It's a shame you don't like history all that much. I sort of guessed you might be more into science. How so? You've nearly read out the science fiction section of the library already. It wasn't hard to notice. You do have a good point there. Well, what can I say? You've pegged me just about right. You sound like you really take an interest in history though, especially considering how specific you were about it. Do you study that area or something? Go on digs overseas? She giggles nervously at the thought. I like to visit the Mediterranean sometime and see the old architecture and art for myself, but I don't think I could trust myself to handle such delicate things. I'm saving up to formally study it in university, although I also read up on it whenever I have free time outside of work. So Miki was right about her university aspirations, considering how she fares as a waitress A more theoretical path may suit Yuko better. It's nice to hear that she has some ambitions though, considering how hard she works. I nod and take a careful sip of my coffee. By now it's cooled to the right temperature, so I begin to drink while keeping an eye on the book below, trying to read at the same time. A few minutes pass quietly, Yuko looking out the window, watching the world go by while I have my coffee and study. A movement catches my eye, and I look up to see Yuko smiling and waving to someone outside. Following her gaze surprisingly reveals that someone to be Hanako. She's looking at us from the side of the streets across from where we are. Her usually all too visible timidity is largely absent, probably thanks to there being so few people around right now. Evidently, she decides to join us, as after a little wave, she gives a quick glance up and down the street and crosses towards the side that the cafe is on. The familiar doorbell to the Shanghai rings out as Hanako enters and makes her way to the table we're sitting at. Hello. Good afternoon. Hi, Hanako. What's up? Nothing. Just going for a walk, since the weather was nice. Yeah, I get what you mean. I'm glad I decided to study here instead of the library. It's comfortable in here thanks to that. Better than the sometimes quite stuffy library. I look to Yuko, who nods in response. It's nice. It's just a shame that summer can't last forever. Oh wait, sorry. Would you like a drink? Hanako shakes her head. Thankfully, it's enough to calm Yuko back down. How are you going with studying? Okay-ish. Oh yeah, have you talked with Lily? I'm interested, too. How is she doing? She's enjoying it, I think. I think that's all we're going to get out of her. Being around Yuko is tensing her up. Oh, it would be so nice to travel to Scotland. Green fields, castles, lovely small towns, men in kilts, interesting history. I can't say I see the appeal of men in kilts myself. It does seem like a picturesque place though. As we talk, the jingle of the doorbell rings again. Hanako was startled, noticing Yuko's panicked expression at the prospect that she might leave customers to wait a handful of seconds due to her chatter with us. Yuko gives us a quick bow, then hastily skitters over and greets the new customers. An elderly man and his wife. I watch her for a bit, craning my head around to get a good view. Hanako is staring at me with her one visible eye. She averts her head in embarrassment as I turn to make eye contact. I was just thinking that it's nice to have ambitions for the future. Yuko was telling me a little about her university aspirations before. Oh, it's a shame. If she wasn't so neurotic and overworked, I think she could be a really happy person. As much as I'd like to play host to Hanako and entertain her a bit, I do need to study as well. To be honest, I don't think the distraction from Yuko helped either. Sorry if I'm a bit distracted. I need to try to get this done, otherwise I'm going to flunk the history exams pretty hard. I'm left running my hand through my hair in frustration. That letter needs doing as well. Once I get back to my dormitory room. I hope I have more luck with that than this damn. Oh, what with? Oh, I was going to write to Iwanako. Right now, though, this is more important. All I've done is rattle myself. I can't focus on the work in front of me when my stomach is slowly turning at the prospect of actually attempting to write her back after all this time. I force myself to concentrate on the book, picking up my pen once I have a quick sip of coffee. After a few seconds, Hanako stops silently watching me and leans back in her seat, relaxing as much as she ever seems to be able to, looking out the window to pass the time. We stay like this for a long time before leaving for the dormitories together. I'm surprised she had the patience to wait me out. Iwanako's letter lies on the desk beside a blank sheet of lined paper, an unused envelope. The tapping of my pen is the only thing to be heard this late at night. As I feared, my second task for the day turns out to be just as difficult as the first, if not harder. It's been so many months since we even saw each other. Even so, I can still remember what she looked like, what she sounded like, what she acted like. By now, though, the little details are beginning to slip away. When I first saw her letter, I barely recognized her handwriting at all. Even the pink pen she always used was forgotten until her writing reminded me of it. I wonder why she didn't use it for the letter. She used to write everything with that. Maybe she thinks it's too immature now. I should be thinking about myself and about what I want to communicate to her. My mind can't stop concentrating on her, though. On the past we shared before it was taken away so suddenly. The bright and slightly garish decorations suit her sense of aesthetics. Picking up the letter to take a closer look at it, I give a long sigh. This is the last link binding me to my past. Iwanako didn't suddenly cease to exist when she left my hospital room for the last time, but I needed this letter to remind me of that. I had all those feelings neatly filed away. I felt as if I didn't need them, that I could just begin life completely anew. It was easier that way. In the end, I suppose that was a rather naive thing to think. Sooner or later, my past would have caught up with me, one way or another. But what am I supposed to say to her? Thank you for bringing me closure. All the letter did was end this sense of closure I had previously felt. Try as I might, I can't write so much as a single word down on the paper in front of me. I can't even think of what exactly I want to say. Putting the letter down on top of the blank sheet, I gather the materials together and file them away in my drawer. The clunk of the desk makes as it closes, makes me momentarily tense in frustration before I get up to go grab a drink from the vending machine on the first floor. I tried, but I couldn't do it. After all the time that's passed, I still don't know how to deal with Iwanako. Who cares about Iwanako? We don't need a Wanako. Save. Turn. The library, while not humming with activity, is noticeably more busy than usual. Exams are not far away, and that's reflected in the number of students burying their noses in textbooks at the tables around us. I've been studying quite a lot in the past few days, just like them, in hope of doing well in the exams. This also means that Hanako and I have been playing games less, so she's begun studying as well as just to fill in the time. Nevertheless, I found myself forsaken by her on this particular day. The textbook in front of me has remained on the same page for some time. After so much reading on the subjects I couldn't care less about, if not for the exams, my mind is beginning to wander. I find my eyes flickering over to where Hanako would usually be, just like on the days she wasn't in class. Her usual beanbag in the corner of the room is conspicuously unoccupied. It was here that we first really met. I tried to start a conversation with her. She got skittish and eventually bolted from the room altogether. I probably shouldn't smile about it, but it was kind of amusing in hindsight. Nowadays, it's more and more difficult to imagine her doing such a thing, even with Lily gone. She's been doing well now that she's come out of her room. I want to talk to her with her, or at least play another game of chess. I'm tired of studying, and it's been a few days since we've really done anything together. The question of where to find Hanako isn't a particularly difficult one. If she's not in the library, chances are that she's either in the tea room for some peace and quiet, or in her dormitory room. Deciding to check them in with that order, I pack up my books and make my way out to the library. I stretch and give a loud groan as I walk down the hallway. Studying may be frustrating at times, but with the progress I feel I've made, there is also some sense of pride in getting it done. It's a good feeling. There isn't a sound to be heard from inside as I stand in front of the door to Hanako's room. I guess that isn't very indicative of whether she's inside or not, given how quiet she usually is. Still, she wasn't in the tea room. I try knocking lightly to make my presence known, but am surprised when I find the door unlocked and yielding at my touch. With a small creak, the door opens. It looks like my suspicions were correct. Hanako is indeed here. She's sitting at the table with an open book in front of her, but pays it no heed as she keeps looking out the window. She looks utterly oblivious to my presence. With her head thoughtfully resting on her hand, she looks calm and collected. It's a shame she can't look like this more often. Smiling a little, I walk up to the table and softly speak to her. "Good evening, Hanako." Hanako's head turns a little to see me, but she's still only half there. I put a hand on the table and lower my head to better look at her face, mildly curious about what mood she's in. "What's up?" She gasps a little, finally acknowledging my presence in the room for the first time. Hanako's blushing really heavily. Her mouth is open just a little, as if paused mid-sentence. Most striking, though, is what she's doing. She's looking directly at me. Her eyes are pinned on my own from such a close distance that I can almost see my reflection in them. They don't turn away nor move at all. They're absolutely still, just looking into mine. They're dark and give her an almost analytical air, even when reading on subjects she has no interest in. She would appear to be wrapped in her work to a casual observer. She absorbs information very well, and even now I can feel that. I feel like I'm seeing something behind those eyes that I never saw before. I don't know what it is, though. "Hanako?" Her lips move just a little, silently mouthing something. She looks like she's on the verge of saying something, but won't say it. But that's the way Hanako always is, on the verge of saying something, but never quite doing it. As I look intently into her eyes, I realize something. Everyone has their own thoughts, things they want to say, their own worldview, but I can't work out what Hanako wants to say, and I can't work out what she's thinking. I never have been able to. It's frustrating. It feels like I don't know her at all, despite all the time we've spent together. Sao? It's only now that I find myself blushing. I've been looking directly into Hanako's eyes from such a short distance with absolutely no regard for her, and she's been looking into mine without shrieking away. I quickly look away while covering my face with my hand. Hanako does just the same. Another awkward silence reigns. I hate these. At first I accepted them as just being a fact of life around Hanako, but now all they feel like is an affirmation of how little we're able to communicate. Some anger makes its way in the complex mixture of emotions I'm experiencing right now. I want to bridge the gap between us. Friends shouldn't have to tiptoe around each other like this. I speak before I can argue myself out of what I'm going to do. My scarring isn't as bad as Hanako's, and I can't possibly compare my life to hers, but I want to show her that she's not alone. Not alone. Doing this is such a blunt manner might be the only way to get my point across. Hanako, I want to show you something. I take a deep breath to prepare myself. This could backfire badly, but I feel as if we've come close enough for this to be okay. I'm not going to strip naked or anything weird. I'm just going to take off my shirt. Hanako's eyes grow to the size of saucers. Her face is an amusing mixture of curiosity and nervousness as she stands. It helps take the edge off my own nervousness at doing this in front of another person. Slowly, with my entire body feeling it tense, I unknot my tie and begin to loose the first of the buttons. I'm trying to mentally block out Hanako to make this easier, but it's not really working. As I work my way down, I expect to hear some form of protest from her. She remains silent, though, which just makes this feel even stranger. With the last of my shirt unbuttoned, I take a breath and look at her. Hanako's gaze is fixed on my scarring, as expected, and once I nod to say it's okay, she steps forward and tentatively places her hand on the vertical line running down my chest. The scarring on her hand, a pattern of damaged skin across its surface, contrasts with the single uniform line that makes up mine. Her hand isn't trembling at all, unlike what I predicted. This is the scar from the surgery that followed my heart attack. The surgeons had to cut open my chest to operate on my heart. I never knew. Hanako's words are calmer and softer than usual. The soft feeling of her fingers moving from my scar to my breast makes me hesitate a little before continuing on. You were the first person to see this since I left the hospital. But why are you showing me this now? You're showing this to me. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this, that I could accept my past and move on. I wanted to show that to you as well. She nods. From her reaction, she seems to know how difficult this is for me. More than anything, the scar represents a visible reminder of my condition, a reminder that I'm not normal anymore. Hisao is evolving. Nice. Nice. Not like the Emmy one. In the Emmy one, he was really selfish in that one. This one, he's a bit more selfless. And also not as dumb. That's something that, until now, I had tried my hardest to ignore. As the minutes tick by, Hanako's gaze lingers. Her eyes look less focused on my scarring than before. The situation feels a bit different than it previously did. It makes me feel slightly uncomfortable. Her hand retreats as I draw my shirt closed and begin to button it up. Her blushing face suddenly returns its typical tense and timid state as she looks away. The room is completely silent as I fix my shirt and tie, feeling put off after such an unexpectedly intimate moment. So I guess you're not the only one that's scarred. Hanako smiles a little at the joke, thankfully lightening the atmosphere a bit. Thank you, Hisao. I think I understand. I give a long sigh of relief. I really didn't know how she'd take it, but I'm glad everything seems to have worked out as I hoped. Hanako's smile only proves further. I'm finding the path I want to follow now, and what Hanako needs to do is to find her own. It's something I can't help her with, and it's something that she needs to overcome her past in order to do. Hanako checks her watch. It's getting late by now. Hisao, yeah, I better be going. I'll be thankful for some sleep. It's been a long day after all. Good night, Hanako. Good night. I make my way out of her room and into the hallway, remaining silent as I do so. I think both of us have gone through a few emotions today. Save again. Save. All is going seemingly well so far. The heat of the summertime sun beats down on my sweating brow. Dabbing with a handkerchief doesn't help too much in making me any more comfortable. Giving up on the idea of getting more done today, I stop and lean against one of the overpass fences, resting my bag on the ground. The stores in the town below Yamaku are well stocked and offer enough variety for me to get by. but at least an occasional shopping trip to the city is something that can't really be avoided. I've been here a few times now. The city's layout is getting more familiar, and the nostalgia from its atmosphere is beginning to wear off. I realize that I've begun to wheeze. I sound like an old man that's overexerted himself, and having to connect that to the fact that I'm the source of is a bit disturbing. I put a hand on my chest and concentrate for a bit to make sure I haven't gone far enough to cause any further problems. Thankfully, my heart is acting normally. There's no dull pain and the beating is regular, albeit fast-paced, as I recover from overdoing things in this kind of heat. I hate my body. It's frustrating to be held back, even more to be held back by fear of my life being ended. When doing something as simple as walking around the city for a while. As I ponder on my health, I feel my pocket vibrating. By the time my phone's begun to ring, my hand is already fishing for. A glance at the screen shows a caller number I don't recognize. Strange. Struggling, I press the button to answer the call and bring the phone to my ear. Hello, Hisao Nakai speaking. The sound of a couple of short breaths can be heard, but no actual speech is forthcoming. Hello? Hisao? Oh, it's Hanako. It's Hanako. Her voice is really easy to place, even if I've heard it over a phone before. Never heard it over a phone before. Hanako, sorry, I wasn't expecting you to call. What's up? If you're not busy, I was wondering if you would like to meet up. Yes, I mean, she sounds really wound up about this. I can hear muffled voices in the background, and it's about time for afternoon tea, so I guess she'll want to meet her at the Shanghai or something. That sounds fine. Are you at the Shanghai? See, hello to you. You must have a lot of questions. Morpheus. My goodness. Just the game completely changes. It's a completely different genre. There's suddenly action sequences and everything. I'm in the city. Hanako's here? Alone? That's a surprise. It's a little wonder if she's like this. If she's surrounded by people and entirely by herself. That works out well. I'm just wandering around there now. Where are you? Hanako manages to stammer out the street name, address, and some basic directions to where she is. Luckily, it's not too far, so I agree to see her soon before hanging up. I look up to the sky. The summer heat is beating down. This is the first time Hanako's asked for us to do something together beyond a simple board game, and the first time, at least since I've known her, that she's come to the city by herself. Maybe this means that Lily was right. By the time I manage to stammer up to the cafe where Hanako is, I've started to wheeze again. I'm sweating so much that I feel like a melting popsicle and can barely hold the bag in my hand. I need to sit down badly. The tables outside are all occupied by busying chatting couples and girls gossiping between themselves. The contrast between the different age groups, fashions of the people here, and the people from the town near Yamaku is striking. I scan over the people sitting at the tables, but I can't see Hanako. She did say she was sitting outside, so I must just be missing her. Not difficult given how small she usually tries to make her presence. I look around again, more slowly this time, taking particular care to see if I can find Hanako's hat. It's pretty distinctive, and I'd be very surprised if she wasn't wearing it. There she is. Sure enough, her head is kept low, and the table she's sitting at is right beside the building in an inconspicuous corner. I walk up to where she is and make sure that I have her attention before I sit down, lest I give her a scare. She notices me and gives a small wave as I arrive at her table. Are you feeling okay? I try my best to laugh it off, but she was asking me, are you feeling okay? I try my best to laugh it off, but doing so just makes me more out of breath. Not very fit these days, don't mind me. Hanako nods, but still looks a bit put off. Now that I can get a good look at her face, something about her seems a bit different. I'm not sure if if my eyes are playing tricks on me, but she looks kind of nice. Her eyes move upwards to look at me, before quickly flickering down again. I begin to think this is going to be a rather quiet meeting, but a waitress thankfully arrives and sets down a cup of tea in front of Hanako. Hanako almost automatically turns slightly away and lowers the side of her head. It's an amazingly practiced motion and does a good job of its intended purpose, hiding her scars from someone who's leaning in close. Her right arm is still laying on the table though, with the scarring on the back of her hand quite visible. It catches the waitress's eye, and I move to quickly distract her. "Excuse me, may I place an order?" The waitress nods and gives me a couple of seconds to look at the menu. "Could I have a mango smoothie, please?" She gives a nod before almost enthusiastically bouncing inside. Everything is so different in the city, in more ways than one. Hanako looks back up towards me and adjusts her hat a little. As she notices the waitress staring at her scars, she doesn't show it. Not coffee? I think I'd die from this heat if I had something like coffee right now. Smooth move, Hisao. Resting my head in my hand, I look to my quiet companion. She seems taken aback, a very unexpected reaction to my lame joke. An unwelcome emotion bubbles up inside me as I realize her reason why. Unlike most in Yamaku, indeed, unlike anyone there that I'm aware of, my condition goes beyond limiting the activities I can do, or to be more precise, breaching those limits could have much more grave consequences. Thankfully, it's something that's very rarely come up since I entered Yamaku. I thought that it was so rare that Hanako and Lily might not think of it at all. It turns out that I was wrong. Hello Zora, good to see you. Hanako silently drinks her tea while I wait for my drink, confirming that it's the right temperature with a small sip before she begins in earnest. I feel guilty for being the cause of an uncomfortable silence, since in the past, I've been kind of hard on Hanako for those. Eventually, the same waitress as before bounces up, handing me my drink. I gather change from my pocket and drop it into her waiting hand before she goes off to attend to another customer. My eyes linger on her as she walks away. I'm lying in bed right now. Nice. Very nice. Do you think that she looks pretty? Hanako is following my gaze, her eyes taking in the waitress as serve us. I can feel my blood slowly going to my cheeks as I rest my smoothie back on the table. No, I can't really say that I'm really into that look. She just looked a lot like an old friend I knew before my heart attack. Did you have many friends? I had a few at my previous school, though I wouldn't say a lot. The four of us just hung around together after school and stuff. Do you still talk to them? I shake my head. No, we gradually lost contact while I was stuck in the hospital. I'm kind of tired. Then you should do the sleepsies. You're not saddened by that, or angry? Hanako looks genuinely surprised. I guess it's the right reaction. Well, life did move on for them while I was stuck in the ward. I was pretty sore about at the time, but now it's just a bunch of nice memories. Besides, once I came to Yamaku, I found new friends as well. That's quite a whiplash of what my feelings were back then. I went through some dark times during my stay at the hospital, and I really am glad that Hanako and Lily were around to help me after I left it. No, I want to watch you, and you may, if you wish. Hanako blushes as we both get down to enjoying our drinks. She seems to have calmed down since I arrived, and I've started to feel a little better now that I have had the chance to rest a bit. So this is getting to be a nice outing already. Even if she's calmer than before, though she's still fidgeting a bit, she runs her hand down one of her bangs as I try to think of something to say. That's right, I was going to ask. Hanako tilts her head quizzically. I didn't know you had a mobile phone. How'd you get my number? Lily gave it to me. I should have guessed. You know, you could have just asked. I'd have given it to you. Want to exchange email addresses? Hanako nods, setting down her drink and fishing out her phone from her pocket as I do the same. It's surprisingly the same model as mine. Pink though. Your smooth voice is making me fall asleep. Perfect. My plan's working. Oh, I'm just a consequence. Consequence of my voice. She looks to me with a curious expression before noticing my phone and giggling. It's one of the very few times I've seen Hanako let her guard down enough to do such a thing. I didn't pick it out myself though. Oh? It was a present from Lily. I never really needed a phone, and I couldn't afford one. She bought me one for Christmas though, saying that we could use it to keep in touch. They see each other basically every day anyway, both in and out of school. Then again, Lily does have her class representative duties and other friends that she talks with. It'd probably help for a situation like this, too, when she's gone away for a while. Lily's a very special person to you, isn't she? She is. I love her very much. Hanako looks down and smiles as she thinks of her. None of my friendships were as deep as theirs, and I have to admit to myself that I'm a little jealous of their relationship. We'll tell each other our email addresses. We tell each other our email addresses and thumb them into our respective phones, and I get Hanako's number from earlier and put it into my contacts list. Done. That makes 3 now. 3? Lily, Akira, and you. Akira. She's an interesting person, isn't she? She is. She's also really nice, though. Her suit makes her look a bit cool. I'm a little surprised you know each other well, what with her job taking up so much of her time. Hanako looks down a little and takes another sip of her drink. If I wasn't looking intently at her face, I'd miss the small smile perched on it. I guess when she knows so few people, those she knows must mean a lot to her. How many do you have? Me, about 9 or 10. I hesitate to go into them for fear of rubbing in the fact that Hanako doesn't have parents or apparently even close relatives. 2 of those are Shizune and Misha too, which is another can of worms. I imagine that Lily would have more than both of us put together, probably. Hanako gives a childish giggle, and I can't help smiling. It's a good feeling that she's gotten this comfortable around me. At times like this, I feel like I'm getting close to talking to her true self. Do you mind if I ask something that I've been wondering? Hanako shakes her head as she takes a last sip of her tea, finishing it off. You don't seem very jealous of Lily having lots of friends. Don't you want to make some more friends yourself, or get to know some of hers? I'm not jealous. I don't like people, so I don't mind not having many friends. That's really not the answer that I was expecting. She doesn't look fearful or sad as she says this, but rather quite serious. Oh my goodness. Climbs on ceiling. Oh my goodness, where'd he go? Oh, it's funny about that fly. That fly somehow disappeared and just left my room. I found it later outside my room. But what's weird is I have no idea how the fly even got in here, because my door's closed, and it also left while my door was closed, so I have no clue how the fly got in here. And out. The fly's plotting to get you later. But I wonder how it had to have come from the vent, I think, because I later found it in the bathroom, and there's a vent in there. So I think that's what happened. Hanako rubs her arm awkwardly, having taken my quietness as a reason to continue. I'm not really sure what I should say, so I end up simply giving her my attention in silence. In middle school, I got bullied a lot. I was called names, got excluded from work, groups, and sports teams. There were worse things too. Oh my goodness. The fly vented. It's sus, exactly. Oh my goodness. Oh, she was bullied? And that's what made you not like other people? She shakes her head. That was elementary school. I feel bad for bringing this up now. Adults have enough problems dealing with Hanako's scarring. Children would be all the worse. I had assumed that the way she tried to make her presence not felt was just to avoid people staring at her, or because she was afraid of them. Certainly not because she genuinely didn't want to interact with them in the first place as well. I noticed the condensation from my neglected smoothie forming a little puddle around the bottom of the cup, so I take the opportunity to finish it off. As I drink, she begins to fiddle with her phone. It looks like she's remembered the people around her again and begun to tense up. It isn't exactly a cheap phone. I had to save up for quite a while to afford one when I got mine. If Lily went to a private school, she probably wouldn't have too much trouble getting one for a present though. It was me the whole time. There was no fly. I see. That explains. That explains. Watching her fiddle with it gives me an idea. Hey Hanako, wait for me. I'll be right back. I put the now empty cup down, slip my phone into my pocket, and begin to move off, carefully stepping around the bag I'd placed beside my feet. Thankfully, sitting around while talking to Hanako has helped me feel a lot better than before. Wait, what? Where are you going? Just stay there. Just stay here. I'll be back in a bit. As much as I'd have liked to have jogged back, I know full well that I couldn't. I end up walking back to the cafe, a little blue bag in my right hand. Hanako notices me quickly looking about, as confused as she did when I left. I deposit the diminutive bag in front of her and sit back down. Is this? It's for you. You can open it. But, go on. She looks very unsure about it, but eventually gives in, slowly opens the bag and picks its contents out. Oh, a silver chain phone strap dangles from her fingers, ending in a delicate flower. It isn't exactly a masterwork of jewelry, but it's about as much as I could afford. Hanako's eyes light up when she looks at it. It's the kind of reaction I was hoping for. The summer sunlight glints off the silver as it twists to and fro a little. It's not too ostentatious, but still looks a little charming. I think it suits her well. It's the thought that counts. Hanako lowers the phone strap to the table and looks to me once more. But it's not Christmas or my birthday. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I just thought it might be nice to have something to decorate your phone with. I don't have anything to give you. I told you it's fine. Friends can give things to each other like this sometimes, right? Friends? Hanako lowers her face so much that I can't see her expression. She eventually nods before taking her phone and fiddling with the strap to attach it properly. Okay, I'm actually getting really tired. I think I'm going to bed. Good night. Good night, Izora. Good night, good night. She looks to me and smiles as she holds up her phone and now adorned it with a little flower. Thank you, Hisao. Her smile proves infectious. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice a couple getting up and leaving. That reminds me that the bus back to the town below Yamaku will be coming soon. I guess I'd better be going if I want to catch the next bus back to town. You coming as well? Yes. She hastily nods before carefully putting her phone back to her pocket and getting out of her chair. I do the same and pick up the bag I'd left beside me on the way out. We walk side by side as we make our way to the bus station, exchanging no words between us. Hanako's gaze is firmly locked ahead of her, though she looks very happy with herself. I'm not sure what I should say to her, but I'm also not sure that I need to say anything. The fact that Hanako is happy and happy because of me is enough to make the load of my arm feel light as a feather. Oh. Woody. Drink some water. Oh my goodness. Woody. Finally reaching the classroom, after the usual walk from the dormitories, I step inside. My eyes indirectly turn to the third seat, from the left to the back row, Hanako's seat. It's empty, and after glancing around the classroom, it looks like she isn't here yet. The two girls from the newspaper club are here in the two seats to the left of Hanako's, as Shizune and Misha, but that's about it. We exchange morning greetings before I take my seat. I have to admit that this is a bit of a relief. This gives me at least a few more minutes to think. Not that I haven't been doing so previously. Ever since our trip to the town, Hanako's been on my mind. I still don't know what to make of my relationship to Hanako. I like her, I can admit that much to myself. I want to protect and shield her from the pain she feels. I really don't think my feelings are just those of friendship anymore. But that said, I feel like I don't even know her. If I made a move on her, how would she take it? Is she in an emotional state that allows her to make a reasonable decision about relationships? How would she cope with anything that might happen afterwards? There's also the possibility that I'm just completely misinterpreting Hanako. Not a difficult thing to do with someone whose social skills seem to be so underdeveloped. The sound of footsteps come up to the door, making me perk up. It ends up being Miki. She barely acknowledges my existence when I accidentally make eye contact with her. I'm about to look away, but another person comes in not long after she takes her seat. Hanako. I feel myself freeze as I see Hanako enter. This isn't a rational reaction, but I have no idea about how I should act or what I should say to her. For a moment, our eyes meet. And then, just as quickly, she looks away and moves to her seat without saying a single word. As is now usual for the period following classes, my face is buried deep in a book that I find thoroughly uninteresting. Studying is not something that comes naturally to me. I didn't study a lot before coming to Yamaku, and until now, I've largely managed to coast through on talent alone. It's frustrating that I can't do that anymore. Judging by the faces of the other few students in the library, I don't think I'm alone in my distaste for this. Misery loves company, I suppose. I decided to spend lunchtime with Hanako. Since we hadn't had lunch together for a while now, I may as well have spent the time studying, though. Aside from pathetically small snippets of small talk, there was barely a word said between us. Why does she keep doing this to me? I just want to protect her, to be there for her, but every time I feel like we're coming closer, we end up further away. Are you busy? Hanako. My head whips around in a surprise, causing her to retreat in fright. That was bad timing. If I hadn't been thinking about her at that very moment, I probably wouldn't have been nearly as so startled. Sorry, you just startled me. I found myself staring at her longer than I should, so I go back to the text lying on the table in front of me. I feel more like I'm just staring at the words rather than actually reading. I get the feeling Hanako can notice this as well, so I sigh and close the book. What's up? I was just wondering what you were reading. She looks a little downcast after my reaction to seeing her. Giving up on the prospect of getting any more work done, I get up and return the book to its place on a nearby shelf. Just an English textbook. Has it helped? It helped me realize that I don't like English, yeah. Hanako gives a small giggle. I may muse on the strange state of our friendship, but I do know that such little gestures are things I wouldn't see were I not at least some distance closer to her than when we first met. I look at her for a moment, thinking about what I do and don't know about her. It's a slightly depressing topic. Is something wrong? If I want to know more about her, maybe I should stop being so evasive about it. Talking with Lily as an equal rather than being constantly in fear of causing her to become upset worked fine. So I should just try a straightforward approach with Hanako as well. Hey Hanako, do you mind if I ask a question? I don't mind. I want to know what your life was like, your life before coming to Yamaku. She hesitates. I briefly consider backing off, but she seems to be taking the question quite seriously. I sit and watch her, silently letting her take her time. She's not making eye contact with me. It looks almost as if she's arguing with herself into letting herself open up to me more. Her answer finally comes in a stiff, almost reluctant nod. She looks far more tense than she did before I'd asked. Okay, but in return, you have to tell me about your life as well. I nod and follow her as she begins to walk out the library so we can talk. By now, most of the students have already left the main building, so apart from a few people hovering around the club rooms, the hallways are largely empty. I guess we'll start with coming to Yamaku. Let's see. I was in the hospital when my parents first told me about Yamaku Academy. The doctors told me I shouldn't go to my old school anymore. My parents agreed and persuaded me to apply for Yamaku, even though it would mean living away from them for the first time. It must have been hard for you. Well, yeah, I have to admit that it was. My parents both work long hours and full-time, so having to live reasonably independently wasn't anything new to me. It was the fact that I was going to a school for disabled students that hit the hardest, I think. And you? A small group of chatting girls passes us as we near the stairs, with Hanako pressing herself tightly to my side until we reach the ground floor. She doesn't usually come this close while just walking in the school, so I'm left a little put off. The staff at the orphanage offered me some options on what I could do. Middle school hadn't been good, so I thought that Yamaku might be better. It was isolated, and I thought it might be easier to get by here with most of the others being disabled. It's pretty ironic that the reasons Hanako looked forward to Yamaku are the exact reasons I hated the idea. To me, it felt like I was being shunted somewhere away from the society, and everyone knew to Hanako that was probably an inviting prospect. What was life like at the orphanage? It was okay. The staff there were nice, and they took care of us. The children there didn't talk to me much, but I didn't really want to talk with them either, so I didn't mind. The orphanage had a little library, so I started to read to pass the time. The staff didn't mind it, because it made me easier to handle than many of the other children. You didn't make any friends there? No, I think my life was on hold during that time. I knew that, but I didn't mind. To think her life was on hold for all that time, though, depending on when the fire happened, that was a huge chunk of her life. No parents, no friends, apparently no relatives. We walk through the door into the courtyard, and I expect to need to avert my eyes from the sun, but by now it's well into sunset. Hanako's eyes keep flickering to me, so I look away from her for a bit. What was it like in the hospital? I quickly clear my thoughts and try to refocus them. I hesitate for a bit, but I know that I have to tell her. We're close enough for her to feel comfortable telling me this, so it's only fair that I reciprocate. It was okay at times, but at others it was pretty bad. At the beginning, everyone sent their sympathies and came to visit often. It was just like breaking an arm or something. Meeting all my friends was one of the one of the good times. Iwanako came in often as well, more often than anyone else. But there were bad times too. When my friends slowly stopped visiting, I began to realize how grave my situation was. It reminded me that this wasn't just a broken limb, but that I was now a different person than before. Even the times Iwanako would spend with me became torturous. By the end, we were reduced to silence, whereas before she'd be talking constantly. But that's how Iwanako always was. She may have been a fragile person, but she would talk constantly to try and hide that fact. Not about anything in particular, just talk. I think the 3 lowest points would have been when my parents told me I wouldn't be going to my old school anymore, my birthday passing while in the hospital, and when Iwanako left for the last time. We leave the school buildings behind us as we begin to follow the main path through the gardens. There may have been the odd bystander in school buildings, but outside, we're practically alone. What was your middle school like? I liked it. I grew up in a really metropolitan area, and the middle school was nearby, so it was pretty crowded. I didn't mind it, probably because I'm used to being in crowds and around lots of other people. I got good grades and I played soccer with my friends. I spent a fair bit of time hanging out with them after school as well. Did get teased a bit over my hair though. Your hair? I grimaced a little as I put a hand over my hair to cover it. I'd keep getting tufts of strands that refused to flatten or stay where I wanted them, and my mother wouldn't let me just get my hair shaved. It had a habit of popping out no matter how much I tried to brush it down. Oh my goodness. It still does a little. I was worried I'd get that reply. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I give a mild laugh and wave it off. It's fine, I know it still does. It feels strange to have someone act so interested in my past. If it were anyone else, I'd think they were just acting polite, but that's something I really don't think Hanako would do. Or if she did, she'd do it so badly that it would be obvious. There are a number of girls in the common room on the ground floor, and Hanako presses herself to my side once more as we pass them. I expect her to break off, but instead she continues to cling onto me as we walk towards the stairway. Something about the way she's holding on to me feels different than usual. I'm left deep in thought as we walk up the stairs and down the hallway. It's only when we stop that I look up and realize that I've been following her without question. Why did we come to your dormitory room? She looks straight at the door, without so much as a glance in my direction. Hanako? She moves to answer, but stops herself. Instead, she silently breaks from my side and opens her door and steps inside. I look up and down the hallway, a bit lost as to exactly what I should do. Shrugging, I decide to follow her, since I don't have any reason to do otherwise. Hanako stands in the middle of her room and looks straight at me. It's unnerving when she does this, as it's such an unusual action for her. I open my mouth to speak, but she preempts me. Could you close and lock the door? Hanako's hand reaches for her chest, grabbing her blouse at her heart. I turn and lock the door shut, then freeze. The atmosphere is beginning to feel quite strange. This feeling is only made more profound when I hear the curtains being pulled behind me. It's going to be night soon. We're a guy and a girl in a bedroom. She's closing the curtains, and I'm shutting and locking the door. She can't really have that in mind, can she? I gulp and turn around very, very slowly. Hanako is in the center of the room, but hasn't turned back to face me. You told me about your past, so I have to tell you mine. She takes a deep, shuddering breath and pauses for a number of seconds. Her hands move to her ribbon and begin to tug, all but confirming my thoughts. Hanako? Please, don't say anything. I obediently stay hushed as she slips off her ribbon and continues to unbutton her blouse before working the clip on her bra. The process is slow. Perhaps it just feels slow because of what she's doing. I'm not sure. Frozen to the spot, all I can do is watch as Hanako, hands trembling, unclips her skirt and lets it drop to the ground. Oh, this is the extent of her burns. Finally, she takes her blouse in her hands and draws it off, her bra falling from her shoulders. And so Hanako stands in the middle of the room, all but bared, save for her stockings and underwear. This is me, all of me. My eyes are immediately drawn to the scarring on her back, and skin on her right side is of a similar texture to that of her face, but it's also stretched taut, covering a much larger area. The scarring is by far the worst on the shoulder, buttocks, and thigh. Just as my heart attack redefined my life, this is the event that redefined Hanako's. If I'd seen this when I first met her, I'd have been shocked, not only at the sight, but also at the idea that something like this was survivable. Wow, Hanako really opening herself up to Hisao. But after having had time to get used to the idea, and after seeing the scars on her face, hands, and collar, my reaction is more measured. My reaction right now is not due to her scarring, but to her body. The fire happened when I was 8 years old. It was night, and we were sleeping when it started. Hanako's voice trembles, the shaking of her blouse giving away the fact that her hands are doing just the same. I curled up in a ball, and when the fire swept over me, my mother tried to shield me. That's the only reason I lived. Hanako's eyes began to moisten, her voice cracking under the combined pressure of exposing herself to me like this and reliving those painful memories from so long ago. I want to say something, anything to make her feel better. I can't though. I feel completely useless when faced with a situation like this. She's forcing herself to come so close, yet it's at times like this that I feel most distant to her. I'm sorry for making you see this. There's no point in denying the obvious. I think what I would say now, and what Hanako wants us to say now, is the truth. What I genuinely, honestly believe. It doesn't matter. You're a wonderful person, Hanako. Your body doesn't change that. She looks at me for a long time, her breathing uneven as she tries to remain steady amidst the emotions we're both feeling. It feels less like she's looking at me than she's looking through me. I slowly walk towards her and gently place my hands on her shoulder as she lets go of her blouse. She gasps a little, not in fright, but in simple startlement. Being so close to her causes my mind to become a jumble of feelings. The scarring on her shoulder, plain to see and leather-like to the touch, conflicts strangely with her otherwise soft skin and silky dark hair. Hanako is a girl with all that entails. She's taller than usual for a woman, but still has the curves in all the right places. The nape of her neck, just visible thanks to her hair slung over her shoulder, is alluring. I know that I'm not pretty like Lily. I just wanted you to see me, the real me. I wouldn't say that. I would say you're very pretty. I've already seen the real you, though. You didn't need to take off your clothes for that. Her lips are open, just a little. She lets out a sharp breath as, without thinking, I breathlessly lean forward and press my lips to hers. The kiss only lasts for a fleeting moment before our faces part, our breathing quick and nervous. The feeling of Hanako's mouth lingers, and her eyes remain locked to mine. Oh no. Oh no, the scene. No. Oh no. Looks like they get it on. Oh no. Nice. Good job, Hisao. Do 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 do. I would say we're on the right track. Let's go ahead and save. Continue. My eyes feel heavy as they slowly open, the light from outside making me blink a bit to let them get adjusted. My body feels like lead, and my head feels just as heavy. Waking up to an unfamiliar ceiling is an uncomfortable feeling. It reminds me of the first time I woke to the dippled white tile ceiling of the hospital. Beats play. My goodness. See, it's only after spending a few seconds staring up at that I realize where I am. This is Hanako's dormitory room. I feel as though my heart stopped again as the events of last night rush through my mind, through my head. Blood rushes to my cheeks, and I shut my eyes once more. There is very little point to getting myself worked up this early, though, so I try to push such things out of my mind for now. I roll my head to the side to see if Hanako's where she was when I drifted off to sleep. All that's there now is an empty space on the bed and the room beyond. I sluggishly sit up and rub my eyes before pinching the bridge of my nose and looking around the room. The only person here is me. I'm still bereft of my clothes, and after a quick scan of the floor for them, I notice that they're neatly folded in the corner of the room. Try as I might, I can't see Hanako's anywhere. Taking advantage of the fact that I have some time without anyone around, I get myself dressed for the coming school day in short order. And then I'm alone. Without anything more to busy myself with, my mind becomes focused on the fact that I'm standing in another person's bedroom after we spent the night together, but there's not a single sign of her around. My gut proves to be more helpful than my brain at working out the riddle. With a loud growl, it reminds me that she may have well just be getting breakfast. I would have liked to wake up next to her, but maybe it's a good thing that I have a few moments alone. Hanako's room, as always, is quite bleak in appearance. There are precious few decorations and practically no personal artifacts that aren't hidden away in the cupboards and drawers. She's lived here for 3 years, but the room looks as if it's barely been occupied for a single day. I shouldn't overthink this. She might just like living this way, as some do. Having the ability to put such a low stock in physical possessions does have its advantages, but even so, it feels a little disconcerting given her past. She said she viewed herself as having had her life on hold while at the orphanage. She certainly lives as if she still does, but after what happened last night, it's pretty hard to imagine that she still thinks that way. The sound of the door handle cracks through my thoughts, and I turn to face it. Sure enough, Hanako comes through and shuts the door behind her. She has what seems to be 2 microwave instant meals in her hands, so this is a little difficult. Good morning, Hanako. Morning. She gives a little bow before making her way to her desk, setting down both plates. I can now see them to be small satay dishes, their contents steaming with a fork stuck inside the rice of each. I give thanks to her for bringing them in, and we each take one and get down to eating. She sits on her desk chair while I sit on the side of the bed. I don't like talking while eating, so the silence between us isn't annoying in of itself. It's the fact that it only exists because we don't quite know what to say to each other that's off-putting. Hanako glances towards me every so often as she eats. I only notice her doing so because I'm doing just the same thing. We're eating together as if we were a couple. We even had sex last night. A first for the both of us. Something feels wrong though. Maybe that's why we can't say even a word to each other as we finish our plates and leave them in the sink. Maybe that's why we leave Hanako's room without holding hands or making small talk. Maybe that's why it feels as if we're further apart than we've ever been before. We enter the classroom together, and neither of us so much as glancing at each other. Just after we do so, I realize that this may have been a mistake. Shizune lifts her eyebrow at the sight, her suspicions raised. We reach the center aisle between the classroom's desks and look to each other. I'm not quite sure what I should say. Does she want me to address her as a girlfriend? I didn't think our relationship was... Oh, that's why this feels so strange. See you. Okay. I awkwardly hold up a hand as we part and take our seats at our respective desks. I can't even look back at her out of embarrassment. I feel like the gulf between Hanako and me is because of me. Oh no. Shizune begins to make her way towards me, but then Mutao enters the room. I'm thankful for his arrival, being so well timed, drawing Shizune and her questioning away, to wait for another time. I wouldn't have been able to answer her anyway. I like Hanako, but I've never told her what my feelings for her are. Hanako never said she saw me as anything beyond a friend either. Yet, despite that, we slept together. I think that's... Come on, man. Are you going to be like, okay, this is literally the meme, I'm not going to lie. It's like, man, we hang out a lot, we kissed, you know, I gave her gifts, you know, we slept together. I'm just not sure if we're together. Like, you know, we did all these things. We got married. I don't know if she's into me. My goodness. The bell to signal the beginning of lunch rings out. Mutao taken a little off guard, his chemistry lecture being cut off mid-sentence, much to his chagrin. For the entirety of the class, his rambling has passed. Yep, it is. It's a situational ship. A situationship. My goodness. My goodness. For the entirety of the class, his ramblings has passed through, one ear out the other. As my mind mulls over the question of Hanako, I can't get her out of my mind, and by now I've managed to wind myself about it. I realized that she never said yes to what we did. She didn't say no either, but would she have been able to? She's extremely submissive at the best of times, and no doubt it took her a gargantuan effort to show me her scarring. I decided to try and at least make conversation with her. That would be better than the monosyllabic communication that's been the most we've managed between each other so far today. I walk to her desk intending to chat, but she awkwardly blushes and looks down even before I've come to her. I take a breath to speak, but find myself lost for words. What in the world should I say to her? Hearing approaching footsteps, I turn to see Shizune and Misha already making their way towards us, no doubt with the intent to start asking troublesome things. A couple of other classmates are looking at us and gossiping between themselves as they throw sidelong glances. They must also have noticed Hanako and me coming in together earlier. I open my mouth to reassure Hanako, but she preempts me. I've got to go do something. She gets out of her chair and dashes for the door. A couple of books and pens that were on her desk are sent falling to the floor in her rush. Not many people seem to care about this event. A few look around to see what all the fuss is about, but go back to what they were previously doing soon after. I'm left despairingly looking at the door that Hanako disappeared out of. The idea of running after her passes through my mind, but I'm fairly sure that Hanako can run faster than I can. And besides, what would I say to her once I caught up? Anyway, eventually, I simply crouch down and begin picking up the items that had fallen to the ground from her desk. I feel low in every way, reduced to this as students pass by me on their way out of the room. I feel a tap on the shoulder. I look up to see Shizune and Misha looking at me, curiously about the situation written on their faces, mixed with a slightly apologetic look at the idea that they were partially responsible for what just happened. Hichan, if we can help at all. I just shake my head. This isn't a matter for them, and from Shizune's expression and tone of Misha's voice, I think they know the same thing. Shizune acknowledges my response and gives a solemn bow before making her way out of the room. Misha soon follows her out, obediently following her role as Shizune's shadow. I pick myself up, books and pens in hand, and place them inside Hanako's desk. With the classroom now empty, I end up just leaning against her desk and thinking to myself in silence. It feels like there is a complete emotional disconnect between Hanako and me. We hadn't known each other for all that long, and despite wanting to start going out with her, I really don't know that much about how Hanako views things. I've been studying as hard as I can for exams, but I still don't feel like I have any real sense of direction behind it. I try to be a friend to Hanako, even if I couldn't tell her my feelings, and all we've done is drive each other apart. I couldn't even write a letter back to the one girl who ever loved me, Iwanako. What should I do? What can I do? I simply don't know the answer to either of those questions. I do know that nobody else can help me with them. Just going back to the way things were would be enough to make me happy, but I know that it can never happen. Something changed between us last night. Maybe it changed beforehand, and it just came to a head then. I know that there's a wall that Hanako has between me and her. I've been hitting that wall every time. I've tried to interact with her on any level, but now I'm beginning to think that I have my own wall between us just as much as she does. She had to practically drag my past out of me. Mine was much less traumatic than hers. I want to say it's because I hadn't had long to adjust since my heart attack, but I know full well that it would just be an excuse. The one time I can recall when it really felt like she was opening up to me of her own accord when we were playing billiards in the city. I was the one who stopped her from going further. I want to know Hanako better. I want to save our friendship, and not to begin a real relationship with her. My mind begins to tick as I sit against her desk, thinking to myself in the empty classroom that we've spent so much time together. I have to talk to Hanako. I pace around the park, feelings of anxiety rolling over me. Ever so often I reach into my pocket to take out my phone, but each and every time I hesitate and end up slipping it back in. If this were my normal situation, I wouldn't be cutting classes. Unfortunately, it isn't, and so I find myself in the town below the school at 2 in the afternoon. Ever since I met Hanako, I've been the one to initiate everything between us, the one that started conversations, went to her whenever she was, and suggested that we should do. Today, this once, I don't want to be the only one doing that. My hand drives into my pocket once more. This time I quickly navigate to the texting menu before I have a chance to change my mind again. Hanako, if you want to talk, I'll be at the park in town for a while. Fighting a last measure of doubt, I thumb in my message to Hanako and press the button to send it. And now, I wait. My part in this has been fulfilled. What needs to happen now is for Hanako to make the decision. It would be meaningless for me to drag her here. She needs to decide for herself whether she wants to meet me. The apple juice from the vending machine tastes awfully bitter as I swill it down. My grip on the can has caused it to dent slightly in the middle. I shouldn't be this tense, but it's probably inevitable. Hanako is dear to me. What happened in the last couple of days has put a lot of pressure on both of us. The idea of losing all the progress we've made in coming closer to one another and losing our friendship as a whole is deeply unsettling. But even then, I still don't really know how close we are. We may have had sex, but before that, we all knew us to be was friends. Maybe we are more than that, but if so, I never realized it. Maybe that's why I feel so uneasy right now. I don't understand Hanako despite all the time we spent together. The minutes are ticking by, and I still have no idea whether she'll show up. Iso? I pause for a moment, almost not believing that I'm hearing the voice I'm hearing. I drop the can and stand up with a start. Hanako. We look at each other for a few seconds before Hanako becomes too embarrassed to maintain eye contact and begins to nervously fiddle with the roughly cut lock of hair covering the side of her face. When I went to see Hanako in her room by myself after her breakdown, I had no idea what to say. That was fine then. All either of us wanted was each other's presence. Now though, I feel like I need to talk to her directly. I want to break down this wall between us before it forces us apart for good. Hanako, what we did that night, how should I interpret that? Oh my gosh. The name of Hisao's song, if he was a musician, would be, Maybe We're Friends. He even asked the question. Hanako stops playing with her hair and looks at me. Her head cast slightly downward. She looks ashamed, which is probably a good mirror of how I would look now if I weren't so concerned. I thought you might eventually go away if I was only someone you needed to protect. I thought that if I let you do that, you might see me as someone more than that. My first reaction is disbelief, but I did do it with her, after all. I had plenty of opportunities where I could have stopped things, stepped back, and questioned what we were doing. In the end, though, I didn't. A horrible feeling rises in the pit of my stomach. She offered herself to me because of what she thought I wanted, and now it feels like I took advantage of her. She may have been willing, but only under false premises. I've never been good at hiding my emotions from physically showing, and now it's no different. Hanako looks down once more, a strange mixture of depression, regret, and sickness written into her face. Thick silence hangs in the air, save for the breeze blowing through the trees around us. I knew you couldn't look at me that way. Hanako's words are said in a little more than a whisper, seemingly directed just as much as herself as to me. In what way? What do you mean? All I ever was to you was a useless person, just someone to protect, someone like a child. I wanted to be more to you than that, but after so long I got used to it. The tone of her voice is unlike any I've heard her use before. She sounds disgusted, not at me, but at herself. After I came out of my room, I saw that you had started drifting away. I felt like I was going to lose you, because you wanted somebody you could have that kind of relationship with. You were more quiet in school than before, and you were getting on so well with Yuko. I thought that I might lose you. She thought I was bored of her, because I wanted a romantic relationship. But we're friends, right? I wouldn't just abandon you like that, even if what you're saying was true. Friendship wasn't something I thought I'd given up on. I stopped believing in others after what happened after the accident. Before the accident happened, I got on well with people and other children. I didn't have many friends, but I didn't mind because I treasured the ones that I had. Afterwards, though, I was called names by the others and teased a lot. It hurt really deeply. The teachers tried to help, but they couldn't do much, and even many of them recoiled just at the sight of me. Among those calling me names and teasing me were the ones that I thought were my closest friends. Jesus, what terrible people would literally bully someone who just lost her parents and had half her body burned, and now you're just gonna bully the hell out of them? What the hell? Those people are those are some terrible people, my goodness. Jesus. From then on, I believe that it didn't matter if nobody else acknowledged me. All my existence ever did was make people troubled. After all, it was easier if I just didn't exist. But after meeting Lily and then you, I tried, but I couldn't make myself think that way again. All that time, she didn't trust me. She thought, just like everyone else in her life had, that she was worthless, someone to throw away once I got bored of being with her. Oh my gosh, humans truly are the real monsters all along. True, Jum. That is messed up. They're the true monsters we need movies about in theaters. I know, but oh my gosh, that's terrible. Like, who would even... I don't think I know anybody or seen anybody who's ever done something like that. Oh my goodness. That hurts. That's the one kind of person I never ever wanted to be seen as, because I know better than most just how horrible it feels to be thrown away by those who I thought liked me. She's cracking from the memories she's bringing up. I feel useless, completely unable to console her. In a strange way, though, I am almost thankful that she's allowing me to know this. The wall between us is going away, even if it hurts so badly to bring it down. Hanako, if you'd just told me. Was I wrong? Of course, she wasn't. Hanako wasn't wrong. It's difficult to force myself to admit this, but I know trying to deny it is pointless. To me and to Lily, she was someone who tried to protect. She had become to me what I've become to my friends after my heart attack, a broken person. I liked her, possibly even loved her, but I never acted on that precisely because I thought she was so fragile. I mean, I don't look at you that way now. I got worried about you after what happened to you in class, and I thought I should try to protect you. When you locked yourself in your room, though, I got afraid. I thought you were rejecting me, and it forced me to think a lot about different things. I wasn't rejecting you. She blurts it out with an almost scared tone to her voice, taking me off guard. She quickly becomes embarrassed by her outburst before clenching her fists and working through what she wants to say in her mind. I wouldn't ever do that, not to you. Even though I was scared, even though I tried to push you away, you still try to get closer to me. I locked myself away because I was just a burden to you, to Lily, to everyone. Every birthday was the same. Everyone doing their best to pretend that I mattered. Everyone pretending everything was all right for that one day of the year. I didn't want to exist, but they wouldn't let me. Even after meeting Lily, everything was the same. I was as useless as I'd always been, unable to do anything for her or for myself. I didn't want to be the same way to you. Lily and I were completely wrong. From what she said, everything we did for her, it would have only made her feel worse. Even what little I thought I had right about her was a complete misjudgment. After you locked yourself in your room, I decided to try to work out my past as well, and sort out my future. I didn't know how to deal with the things I'd lost by coming to Yamaku, so I was trying to sort them out myself. I thought it would help us become better friends if I did that. Silence hangs in the air again. I try to keep looking at her, but I can't. I feel really low, and though I want to apologize, I don't know how possibly I could. I hear her take a deep breath and only look back to her after hearing her drop it to the ground. The sound of her crying breaks my heart. I know I'm responsible for this, and I know that I can't do anything to help her, but Hanako feels ashamed. Then I feel all the more so. I rush to her as tears continue to roll down her cheeks, unabated, wrapping my arms around her. I don't care about how I must look anymore. I just want to be close to her right now. I'm sorry, Hisao. I've messed up everything. It's fine, everything's fine. I'm the one that should be sorry. I was meddling around behind your back, and I never told you anything. I can feel my grip tightening on Hanako as my vision blurs. I can't be bothered trying to hold back. Now, I have to force my words out as a lump begins to stick in my throat. To tell you the truth, Hanako, I was scared. For the first time since my heart attack, I was really scared. Hisao, I lost so much when I came to Yamaku. I was depending on you more than I ever thought I did. Even now, I still have that hole inside me. After losing my entire life and everyone I'd known, the thought of losing you as well. But I'm just a useless... You're my friend, Hanako. You're more than that. I love you, Hanako. I love you so much. The thought of losing you frightened me so much. Oh, this is bad. I'm really letting out all of this out. I can't bring myself to look at her face right now. I'm sorry, Hisao. I can't help feeling a bit happy. For so long, that's what I've wanted to hear. The last of the floodgates breaks. The sound of her crying permeating the air as her body jerks against mine. We hold each other tightly, connected more closely than ever, in our shared grief and our shared happiness. I don't know how things are going to be like after this. Right now, though, I don't care. There's no other person in the world that either of us could possibly share these memories and emotions with. Nobody. After dropping the dirtied can into a bin next to the bench, I take a seat beside Hanako. She puts away that handkerchief I gave her to clean herself up, which hasn't helped much. But then again, I doubt I look much more presentable. Even now I feel emptied and a bit embarrassed after letting my emotions out in public like that. It's not a bad sensation though. I think Hanako feels the same way too. Have you calmed down a bit? Yes, thank you. For a while, we just sit and take our time before talking again to one another. We both need a little time to collect ourselves. The weather is nice at this time of year. Yeah, it is. I close my eyes for a moment, relishing the feeling of the sun's heat and the cool breeze against my face. The weather really is nice today. Really, really nice. You know, I don't really want to go back to classes right now. Do you? She shakes her head as she finishes her wiping her eyes with her cuff. The small smile she gives is nice, and it's a reminder of how earnest it can be. Smiling for other people might be a completely normal, everyday thing. For Hanako, though, she smiles so rarely and so sincerely that each and every time she does it, I feel a sense of relief and happiness. I'm sorry for everything. It's okay. I think we both have a bit to be sorry for. I know that. I'm too shy. I know you don't want me to be. I don't think I can. You can change, Hanako. I know that because even in the time I've known you, you've already changed. To be honest, just being able to sit here and talk to you like this means that you've changed a lot since we first met. But I can't be like that for anyone else. I don't have any plans for after school ends either. Hanako's confidence begins to slide down again, but I think that now I can finally talk to her as an equal. I can do it because I know that we're just the same in so many ways. Just give yourself time, and I think you'll be able to achieve what you want. No, I'm sure that you'll be able to do it. I can see you've been trying, and I have faith in you. And you can depend on me if you feel like you need someone to support you, you know. But I can't ask that of you. You can, because that's exactly what I'm asking of you. I'm going through the same thing, you know. It's called love. Hanako smiles before I get off the bench and dust myself off. She does the same in short measure. I'm kinda hungry. Want to grab something to eat? She nods vigorously. The way she's smiling, the way she's acting, even just the general air she gives off, I feel as if this is the first time I've seen her genuinely happy. We both make our way onto the street, walking beside each other. Hisao. Yeah? I think I don't really understand you. I don't think I understand you either. I believe that's fine though. There's not a single hint of despair in our voices. Not understanding each other is only natural. The walls we set up between ourselves couldn't possibly be broken down in a single day. But that's fine, as long as we take it day by day, try to understand one another. I think everything will be okay. As we walk down the street though, Hanako's eyes flick to my face and back to the street repeatedly. Is something on your mind? You look restless. She slows before stopping completely. When I turn to meet her, she takes a long, deep breath, looking at my face intently. This expression, I saw it once before on her face, just once, when I accidentally surprised her in her room. I think I have something I need to give you. What is it? You don't need to be invasive about it. I wanted to give you this for a long, long time, but now that I need to, it's too embarrassing. Don't worry, I'll accept it, whatever it is. She gives a sweet, bashful smile before taking my shoulder in her hand. Then please accept my first gift to you, Hisao. Hanako. Oh, so sweet. In public. And everybody sees. Nice. Oh. Well, I think it's safe to say we got the good ending. Oh. That's really nice. I enjoyed that one. I think I like that one way better than the other one. Reach Hanako's good ending. I got the achievement. Yes, hell yeah. That was good. I like that. I like that. That was really nice. Skip. I've seen it before. I just want to look at these really quick. Oh, wait. The pictures. And I'm guessing you get all pictures from when you do the other girls as well. Oh, that was really nice. That was really nice. Oh. Darn, shucks. I liked that. That was a good story. Oh. Look at that. So nice. So sweet. Oh. Well, that was a good... The conclusion of a really good story. Honestly, I think all these stories will probably be pretty good. All these routes. But yeah, that's the conclusion. And I enjoy that. And at least we ended the game with the girl I was most interested in, which is Hanako. I think the only other girl I would consider would be Lily. I don't think I care for the other girls, I don't think. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I certainly enjoyed it. It was really nice. I really enjoy these wholesome stories. You don't get to see too many of them, you know. Shoot, I think my favorite animes I watch are actually more wholesome. Because it's really nice. It's really nice. But yes, I think that's it. I think that is it for this game. I wonder what we're going to replace this game with. I hadn't even thought about that. My goodness, my goodness. She was very wholesome. Oh, I don't even know. I'll have to think about it for a while. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And I shall see you all next time. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.